Ladies and gentlemen, please disable all flash photography and locate the nearest fire exits. Because it's time for Trinity Series Season 2! Welcome everyone to Trinity Series Season 2. My name is Frodan. I'm joined by Nathan, that's Admirable Zamora, and we have the utmost pleasure to deliver you once again another season of the best team league existing in Hearthstone. Nathan, how you doing, man?
I'm doing fantastic. Trinity Series 1 was a blast. One of the best events I've watched. One of the most dynamic formats that I've seen. And now we're back for Season 2, and it is still stacked as ever. How are you doing today, Dan?
I'm doing great. Trinity Series Season 1 was excellent. I think we had a lot of great proof of concepts. We really loved the fact that our sponsors were able to get on board and help us for Season 2 as well. So before we begin, we want to give a big shout out to Twitch and Intel, big players to help us bring back yet another great season of Trinity, which I think has become one of the most beloved tournaments in the Hearthstone community. It's not only because of high-level competition, but also because it brings us back to what Hearthstone's really about, is being able to share that experience. We're not only going to be playing great games of Hearthstone, but we're also going to be diving into the communication and listen to how the teams work together and cooperate for victory.
And last season, we saw all sorts of different strategies working. Some of the teams preferred to not communicate because they felt it was distracting to them. Some of the teams really dug deep down and just had a voting system that was with it. Some people just simply trusted the pilots. The fact that every single team operated differently, to me, was also a big treat to that.
Let's take a look at how Trinity Series is played. Nothing has changed from the previous season, but if you haven't watched Season 1, let's go ahead and explain it, Nathan, for the first-time viewers.
Yeah, there's going to be 8 teams that will be playing an online season. Over the course of 7 weeks, they'll play a round-robin stage where they'll play each other team in the league one time. Afterwards, the top 4 teams and records will advance to the live finals at the ESL studios, where they'll fight for their share of $150,000.
That's right. And the format of actual matches will be played in a pretty crazy system with all classes being represented, a couple of bands. We'll explain more as we get into it. But let's go ahead and take a look at the 8 teams represented here in Trinity Series Season 2. To kick things off, everybody's going to start off tied, but the number 1 rank slot there that you see, Love You Lots, or Team LOL as we call it for shorthand, is a little bit of an interesting mix. You may not have heard them compared to Team Liquid, CompLexity, Tempo Storm, G2, Virtus Pro, Planet Odd, and Misfits. Team Love You Lots is composed of Chalky, Muzzy, and Zalay, and that is because of acknowledging our silver medalists from Season 1. Team Luminosity has since disbanded, but we wanted to find a way to get our finalists back in, and so they've decided to unify under the team banner of Love You Lots.
Yeah, and these are 3 of the best players in the world. Zalay, who is right in the points race for Americas. He's joined by Muzzy, who is the points leader in Americas, and Chalky, who's been one of the elite for years in the Hearthstone scene.
That's right. And Team Liquid, of course, has Fino as a stand-in right now, and we have a couple of other people doing the same thing. CompLexity has gotten Tyler in. Tempo Storm has also refitted their team with Trump, who also signed earlier this year as well, and a couple of other interesting ones that we'll bring up. So really cool dynamics, because Season 2 has very much similar faces with the team names, but different players under the banner.
That's right. And throughout the season, each team is allowed 1 permanent roster swap. One time in the season, they can change a single player on their team, but once they make that change, it is stuck. They cannot revert it if they want to.
Let's take a look at the schedule of how we're going to play out the first couple of weeks here at the Trinity Series. As we mentioned, and Nathan was talking about, 7 weeks of the online regular season. Each team playing a round-robin format, playing other teams one time. We're going to kick things off with CompLexity Gaming, the reigning champions from Season 1, up against G2 Esports, often touted as the most fearsome team in Hearthstone.
That's right. And if you're looking forward to a particular match, again, you will see it at some point throughout Trinity Series. If you haven't seen it, it's because it hasn't happened yet. But say we're in week 4 and you missed a certain match, you can just go back and watch it. They'll play every other team.
And we're going to aim for the live finals at December 8th through 10th. That is this year in 2017. We're not aiming for a 2018 finish. And that is going to be extremely exciting, Nathan. The live finals last time was really fun to watch. We had some great moments to close out Season 1. Most notably, of course, having the dynamic of Trinity tonight and be able to also listen to the team comps and have them live in the studio.
That was one of my favorite talk shows ever, was Trinity tonight with Frodan.
Well, hopefully we can bring it back, and we'll obviously see more talent throughout the weeks. It's not just going to be me and Nathan throughout the entire time. Make sure to let us know what you guys are thinking also on social media, hashtag Trinity Series, or tweet us at ESL_Hearthstone, and let us know either your feedback, some of your favorite moments, your highlights, etc. And we'll also keep you posted on what's been happening too. In case you have to step away, you have to miss a game in the match, we'll be tweeting out all kinds of updates throughout the entire day. And with that, why don't we go ahead and just start introducing our first match of the day. We have CompLexity up against G2 Esports, the reigning champions, but this time CompLexity has retooled their roster with Tyler over Super JJ, who has in the recent times retired from Hearthstone and moved on to other things.
Yeah, G2 also has Lothar as part of the roster for this Hearthstone team. And this screen right here is where you'll see a lot of the strategy take place. This is where Trinity really comes together. There's all 9 classes represented. Each team is going to ban 2 of the opposing classes from their lineup. After 2 have been banned, there's 7 classes remaining. The teams will then choose one of their own 7 remaining, and they will not play it in the set. From there, with their 6 remaining classes, they play a last hero standing match. So if they win with the deck, they keep it. If a deck is lost, it's knocked out of contention, and the first team to pick up 6 total wins wins the set.
Yep, best of 11. So the first things that you'll be seeing on your screen right now are the bans on both sides. They're both done in a blind format, but they are selected for one at a time. So it is the Priest bans on both sides, and here's already an interesting curveball from G2. They love playing a little wacky strategies, especially because you have 2 players that love to beat the meta in Tice and RDU, and they're going to ban Shaman of all classes. People are looking at Druid and Priest as the top 2 classes, especially since 9.1 patch has really shaken it up. But people also were expecting maybe Rogue to get a little bit of ban action. We see Shaman to start things off from G2, and CompLexity, of course, sticking with the tried and true. Good decks, good choices, ban Druid, ban Priest.
And look at that, Warrior omitted from both sides as well. I really like the Shaman ban from G2. I think when you take Priest out of the mix, Shaman becomes a lot stronger. One of the decks that it's had the worst win rate against is Priest. Now another one is Warlock. So that is a matchup that G2 is going to look to avoid, but taking out Shaman I think is a great call here, given that they anticipate Priest being taken away.
Well, it's interesting because Shaman does have its own pocket too. It's very good against Hunter and Paladin. As we take a look at these class breakdown too, why don't we explain also what these 2 classes under the players mean?
So Crane is going to be piloting Mage and Warlock. The players are going to be independent pilots, despite the fact that they're working in a team. So you're going to see Mr. Yagut on Rogue and on Hunter. Rogue, of course, one of his specialty classes. And then Tyler's going to be on Druid and Paladin, and that guy has played just about everything there is. He is a true grinder when it comes to Hearthstone.
Absolutely. And Tyler is definitely a fearsome opponent to be added to the roster, but G2 also now has Lothar, who's primarily known as the team captain, manager, and also behind the scenes. He works on a lot of administrative stuff for G2, but people may have forgotten that Lothar also used to qualify for a lot of Hearthstone tournaments like Intel Extreme Masters, and also has done pretty well in a lot of those King Win for charity events as well.
Yeah.
So he's definitely hold his own, even though G2 has lost life coach.
Yeah, I mean, here you can see Tice going to be on Paladin and Warlock. He was on Paladin almost all of Trinity Series Season 1. RDU, of course, on Mage and on Shaman. He was a pilot for Mage for a lot of that time, and there you get a glimpse at Lothar, the man himself, the most handsome man in Hearthstone.
That's right. You may know him, captain, cosplayer, streamer, but competitor once more as he enters the arena and going up against CompLexity's Tyler to start things off. Now, again, the meta has changed a lot since the 9.1 patch. This is the first time that we're going to be able to see, I think, a large tournament of this scale, of this caliber, to be able to be played since the patch. We do have a couple events happening. TESPA happened this past weekend or these past couple of days. But I feel like with such a large amount of attention being drawn to Trinity, with so much money on the line, this is where you get to see some innovation too.
It's not only that, it's just the 9 classes represented too. I mean, you need to be proficient on every single class to compete in this event. Sure, Priest might get taken out quite a bit. It's extremely powerful right now. But if you think about it, when you're playing this wide a range of classes, can Priest account for every single thing? Priest struggles against Hunter sometimes. It can have trouble versus some dirty rat decks. Like I'm thinking maybe some Control Warriors thrown in there at some point. Despite the Fiery War Axe nerf, I've been seeing players like Ant run best of 5s where he's still running Control Warrior. He's got 2 copies of Dirty Rat. I saw Zalay running Druid with 2 copies of Dirty Rat earlier this week. There's a lot of movement still going on in the metagame given the balance patch and the fact that almost every single class has more viability to it across the board, I think, than we've seen in the past.
That's right. And remember that teams are able to communicate throughout the entire time. And I wonder how that dynamic changes when you have somebody like Lothar or somebody like Tyler. What kind of dynamic does that add to the conversation? Are they discussing more? Are they being more silent? We are missing a couple teams that we saw from Season 1. Cloud9 is not part of it, where StrifeCrow was saying that he felt like he didn't work really well with Firebat and Size of Time, not because they're not good players, but because they're more individually driven as opposed to team communication driven. And they did better when they weren't talking as much and just allowing the player to play their game plan. And then, Alliance, on the other hand, was also very conversation-driven. They're not represented, too. So, teamwork here is very valuable because sometimes it's more harmful than good.
We saw players adapt throughout Season 1 as teams began to realize that a voting system was very strong in terms of getting the job done. We saw more teams move towards that side. But sometimes you have to trust your pilot. If you have an expert in a scenario, someone who specifically practices a deck, they likely know the matchup very well. So I will be curious to see how teams take it on from week 1 in Season 2 of Trinity rather than in Season 1 where they had to feel it out for quite a bit.
All right, so let's kick off Season 2 with one of the decks that's been performing very well since the 9.1 patch that introduced nerfs to Druid and a bunch of classic cards, and that is the Tempo Rogue. There's a lot of people that call this different kinds of names, but Tempo Rogue ultimately seems to summarize it the best. This Rogue deck has had absurd win rates. Do you think it is a fluke because of the patch and things aren't settled, or do you think this is an actual contender for one of the best decks in the meta?
Well, there's 2 major cards that stand out in this deck now. I think one of them, of course, is Edwin Van Cleef. This has been a long-time standing tool of Rogue that's been very powerful. But the second one is Prince Keleseth, or as I like to call him, Prince Kelequest, because my opponents always seem to have him in the opening hand. That's a major tool to this deck where at the 2-drop slot you can buff every single minion in your deck, and Shadow Step is in here to combine with cards like Southsea Deckhand if it's buffed, Leroy Jenkins, but it can also just return Prince Keleseth, and when you get multiple Prince Keleseths right out the gate, the minions in your deck are much larger than they're supposed to be. So that is one of the reasons I think this deck's been performing so well. There's not as much Druid pressure, and the decks have tended to be more scaling towards the mid game, and that's really where aggressive decks shine, when they can punish mid-range curves.
Yeah, and what's funny too is that the deck also has a very good long game plan too. When you have things like Bone Mare in the deck, it gives you a lot of ways to explode in the mid stage of the game. And you mentioned Shadow Step. There's variants that play this. There's variants of this Rogue deck that also plays Elementals, which is also interesting because you have Blaze Callers and a couple of other good synergies. Immediately right off the bat, you see G2 going for a Swashbuckler play. Now, I've seen this play debated heavily throughout the entire times. A lot of times people used to play Swashbuckler on 1, but I've seen a lot of players pilot this at high-level Legend, and I've experienced it myself. A lot of times you don't even necessarily want to draw patches too early out of your deck because you want to get big buffs onto it with either things like Prince Keleseth or even the Southsea Captain.
Yeah, I think a lot of this had to do with Southsea Captain, where they're accounting for being able to coin Southsea Captain and trade over the 1/3, but there's no telling what their plan is. They had so many different options. Let's listen to G2, hear what they're thinking.
I mean, for the weapon, like if they have the sword, if they don't have the sword, they will need to trade both, right? To kill the captain. If we go for the Edwin, it dies to the board or Pirates does. If we go for Shaku, well, then Shaku kills something next turn. Because we need to be on the defensive here, right?
Mm-hmm. Captain is also bad versus War Leader. Keep that in mind. But so is Edwin.
I would say Shaku is the best thing here.
What if he just Dagger?
Dagger, and then next turn, then we keep it for Viceplan, the coin, right? Next turn we just play Shaku or Southsea.
That's way too slow. I think we need to be more proactive.
Then Shaku is the best thing.
I'm not sure if it's better than Edwin, but...
Okay, Edwin or Shaku?
Because it's a 4-4.
Alright,
I would just... You go Edwin, yeah.
I like Edwin more.
Yeah, Edwin is better than Captain because he doesn't lose to the weapon. It's only bad versus like War Leader.
And we lose actually the value from Edwin if you use the coin now.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it's important that we trade the wounded guy
Yeah.
into patches, right? So we don't get backstabbed.
Exactly. So probably trade with patches and go face with other one. Hope that he gets gentle off.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
They might have Megazord, but we don't really care about that because that's in the future.
Bonham, that doesn't change anything. So, all right. So this trades for the 2/3.
Dagger is decent, Shaku is decent.
Well, I think Dagger, Swashbuckler. I mean, Swashbuckler first. Trade here, Swashbuckler, and Dagger to kill the 1/1 seems like the best option.
But
Otherwise-
then you have like a weak turn next turn. Whereas if you go like for 3-drop, you can go 3+1 next turn if that matters.
That's true. That's true.
But the Dagger is also
But with the
good.
Dagger and Swashbuckler, we can kill the Rockpool Hunter next turn. And it
I mean,
can-
Rockpool is gonna kill your Edwin, but you play better around Megazord if you do that play.
yeah, that's what I'm thinking, to play around Megazord. With
You
the
never
Dagger.
play Captain, probably never play Smuggler, so it's Shaku versus Burglar Dagger.
All right, I'm gonna kill
Sure, go for Burglar. Yeah, go for Burglar. Burglar first, and then see what happens.
What the?
Okay, kill the 1/1, and that's it.
We got a new
Man.
prince, man. We got a mini prince.
Fuck.
And I'm telling you right now, if you're underthinking Lothar, do not listen to all the stuff that he's just gone through and the deductive reasoning to find the plays that they're landing on. And then right at the end, he caught it. If we use coin now, the Edwin's a lot weaker. I'm already loving G2's communication.
Yeah, and it seems like they understand the weaknesses of their hand right now, which is if we use the coin now, we get better tempo onto the board and be able to win it. Because ultimately, Tempo Rogue's in a more powerful spot if it's getting in damage and developing and using their threats proactively as opposed to reactively. Using Vile Spine to remove a minion and pushing damage as opposed to just clearing the board.
Oh boy. Well, there's some pretty solid options there.
Yeah, +3 health immediately was like, oh, well, I can trade it and stick alive on the board. But there's also a case for Living Spores, primarily because you do want to have a bigger board for things like the Scalebane. But you do realize that there's there's a 1/1 and a dagger on the board, so it's going to be trickier to keep things onto the board if your opponent can develop and remove this turn.
Now, mind you, with Tempo Rogues cutting all of their 2-drops for Prince Kaliseth, means you don't have to worry about sap. You're not worried about Eviscerate. That 5/4 is almost certainly sticking to the board this turn, and if not, the 2 plants are sticking to the board. So I love this play from CompLexity to simply take the trade and look to just get something on board. That's really where the Murloc Paladin starts to pull ahead, is if it keeps a single threat on board that can attack.
Yeah, it seems to be the name of the game. We're also keeping track of a lot of statistics throughout Trinity Series. Here's an example of one of them. This is cards played. Nothing really eye-popping at the very beginning, but we're going to be tracking all kinds of things, like how much mana they're spending or what's the time per turn these guys are taking. And we'll try to see if that has any correlation. You know, time per turn, for example, won't exactly correlate to victories, but it's an interesting statistic. And here's a couple of other showcases like Hero Power's use, and we'll let you guys know more throughout the weeks, and hopefully you guys can draw some conclusions.
But basically, if it's something they do, we're going to have track of it.
How about times they click excessively on the board?
Ooh, I think that's a Soul Blizzard stat.
Yeah, when I see like Kibblers, for example, or Savit, I'm like, they're clicking so much.
That's like me, man. I just can't stop.
I know,
I always like not.
And I start doing it subconsciously.
Like the fact that the ruby in the top left isn't knocked out of the statue yet is just like it bothers me to no end.
That's right. Or
the
how
coconuts.
many clicks you need to snap the jungle vines on the right?
Oh, jeez.
You need to do like 6 or 7, it feels like.
Have you played the drums from the face on top of the arches?
That's right. Well, the drums in the Nguru board.
Oh, that one too.
Unlock the volcano.
Which I still don't know how to do that.
It's pretty complicated. It's kind of like Patron Warrior of old days.
I've seen people in chat come up with the little symbols that tell you how to do it. It's like,
do they?
Like
Man,
the
emoji
turtle
meta.
shell, the big leaf, the little leaf, the big leaf, the turtle shell, the drum, or something like that. I don't know how they do it, but they have. I mean, you started to say it. The emoji meta is on point.
Yeah, and they're evolving sometimes even faster than Hearthstone itself.
Faster than Gentle Megasaur.
So looks like CompLexity kind of coming up a big turn here. G2 is going to have to react. It looks like they're, again, in deep thought on how they're going to react to this Finja. Let's listen in.
Well, now we can just play Shaku, trade, and hero power, so they cannot attack with Finja next turn.
Yeah, we just trade the minion. Like, trading a minion is great.
Yeah, trade the minion and
we
Shaku
trade
hero
here
power.
anyway.
It's,
Yeah, Shaku, hero power, do nothing,
Yeah.
and just trade with here.
Every time,
Yeah.
Shaku, yeah.
So it gets interesting.
So we probably don't attack with Finja, right? Otherwise we can slay.
No. We definitely don't do that.
Let me think.
I think you only got one play, right?
It's just Rock Pool Megasaur, right? Like the
Yeah,
only
just
consideration if we want to be greedy with the Megasaur and we just go Skill Bane. That's the other option, right? And then we got Warlock, Tidecaller, Rock Pool, Megasaur on the following turn.
I like Skillbane.
I actually
with-
really don't mind the Skill Bane here.
Isn't it weaker to Slayer?
Move quickly.
But the 5 also gets hit by Slayer. I think Scalebane gets the value on the Finja is super good.
Yeah, I think so too. And then if he goes with
Okay, sure.
if he does decide to go with the thingy,
He just runs
Slayer?
over.
then we just kill it and we get the Murloc value and we get like Megasaur, a billion Murlocs. So
Yeah, I think it's fine.
Commit to Vilespan Slayer.
I like the Valspine with Firefly.
The problem with the Firefly is that it die. Oh, well, actually, everything dies now. So we
Everything
have to-
dies. That's actually good that everything dies to Finja anyways.
So we attack with Shaku face.
Uh-huh.
We see what we get.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah,
it's
do
a
that
quote.
first. Yeah, maybe it's something cool.
Night.
That's not cool.
Templar. That's not cool at all. Right. So now we go Firefly, Vilespan Slayer,
Yeah.
or either
Yeah.
two Smuggers.
No, you never go to Smuggler, come on, man. Just go Vilespine.
Just saying, that's an option.
I mean, we shouldn't say like all the possible options in the universe because there's multiple
Alright.
permutations that are
Attack
just
the
used.
one with the dagger.
No.
We'll not have time to redagger till like turn 9.
Yeah.
Don't use it.
The Shadow Step things.
yeah, Shadow Step's quite annoying.
His right is better than the Tidecaller? No, right?
Probably not.
No, probably not. We probably
I think we
want to
also
get-
kill Slayer by the way.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so play Tidecaller first and then kill the Slayer, and then we'll go from there.
Yep.
World leader. What do you want to buff with the Rock Pool? Do you want to get it on the Finja so that doesn't die to one hit?
Either on the War Leader or Finja.
Thinking War Leader, but I don't know.
Yeah, I'm thinking on War Leader as well. Let's go
I don't have
fast.
strong.
Okay.
Yeah, you just go.
Attack, health.
Health
Health
always
every
helps.
Yeah, yeah.
Good.
Yeah, that's gentle. Gentle, maybe not the right word in this instance. It's pretty not gentle.
I feel like that joke's been made like 101 times.
Well, I mean, you gotta.
About that, specifically by Hearthstone casters. Oh, a gentle Megasaur.
Oh, don't act like Aziz Ansari does a different interview every single time. I've watched like 40 interviews. He does the same bit every single time.
Sure,
and he's really good at it. A lot better than I am at the gentle Megasaur bit, but you know, mine's also just not as funny.
This is a really challenging board here for G2 to deal with, primarily because
That's the word for it.
their Valspine Slayers when they're killed. You can do some cool stuff with like Shadow Steps, but they don't have any access to it.
They're in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, and this is, you know, Admirable during the conversations with the players actually brought something very interesting. He says, I think, Admirable said, quote, I think this is actually a good deck even prior to the patch, and people just weren't playing it. And kind of like asked rhetorically, why weren't people playing? And I think a large problem was because the decks in the meta prior to the patch were just even stronger than they currently are. You look at Jade Druid being problematic, Tempo Rogue didn't kill it consistently enough. Pirate Warrior was very explosive, very good against Tempo Rogue. And Murloc Paladin even had a better War Leader, which you're already seeing kind of the fruits of their labor right now. Granted, Finja wasn't always in every deck, but if it was able to snowball the board as consistently as it was hard for Tempo Rogue to fight back because they have good single target removal, but they can't deal with a wide board like this.
And I think you really sold me on the Murloc Paladin part, where it's, you know, if you have a fairly weak matchup to a deck that you're banning and then a fairly weak matchup to Pirate Warrior, that's not the end of the world. I mean, Purple just won America's playoffs on the back of that strategy. He was fairly weak to Pirate Warrior. His main game plan against that was to draw Galaka Crawlers, and that was good enough to get him there over the weekend. But the fact that this Tempo Rogue is weak to Murloc Paladin, I think is really a big talking point for this tournament in particular. You know, I was a bit worried for Paladin coming into this tournament because of the Murloc War Leader change. And the fact that it's performing so well versus Rogue, I think sells me on the idea.
Well, it kind of depends, too, because the Tempo Rogue is also able to get just ridiculous starts with Keleseth, Pirate synergies, and a lot of things had to go right for CompLexity to be able to get a board like this. But I think Murloc Paladin's being slept on a lot. I think people feel like because it got nerfed with the War Leader, it is a big change. But as you can still see, Murloc Paladin is still extremely potent. And what makes it even crazier is that CompLexity Gaming has even more gas. They had to Curator into bigger draws.
And notice all that time they took, missed a point of damage, that hero power.
And they're probably going to win anyways,
they
despite that.
I mean, they have done the bulk of their work already. They have gotten to the favorable position, and that's really where the most games are decided, is who can find that better early sequence. But you saw Tyler react to it, kind of sit back and go, oh my gosh, the point of damage.
That's right.
Twitch chat's gonna wreck us.
I mean, that's kind of the only thing we can pick apart about their play. Everything's been on point.
Oh yeah.
Think about a lot of stuff, and that's kind of the whole purpose of it. Can they figure out the line and commit to it and be able to follow through? CompLexity is completely in control here. Proper sequencing to pull out the optimal amount of Murlocs with Finja, buffing the Tidecall even further.
Oh my. I mean, there's not really much left. I think it's the last two Murlocs in the deck, actually.
Could be. And
second Hydrologist, second Tidecaller, second Firequinn. Yeah, let's do it. So much damage coming in from CompLexity as they smooth sail to a 1-0 lead. So now G2's Rogue is out of contention, and CompLexity will stay on Murloc Paladin. This is last hero standing, and the first team to 6 wins takes the set.
There's a lot of discussion to be had about the Rogue, which ultimately was the deck to focus on. Murloc Paladin played his strategies and missed a turn 3, but still was able to recover with the gentle Megasaur, which is not so gentle.
Just gonna rub it in all day, aren't you?
That's right. Which is not so gentle.
It's like 10 years from now, and it's gonna be old man Frodan. He's gonna be like,
it's only because I heard that joke like 10 times in the past 10 broadcasts about gentle Megasaur.
Oh, I stole it from you.
So don't feel too bad.
I'm
It's not
taking
just
from the
you.
best.
It's an epidemic apparently among Hearthstone casters. We need to fix it right now.
Yeah.
One like equals one prayer.
Dan sets trends. Who knew?
Well, I made that joke too like 5 times, so that's why I'm guilty of it. Rogue did not draw Prince Keleseth, and a lot of times people accuse this deck of being a high roll deck, very similar to the Big Breeze saying, if you don't draw Prince Keleseth, you lose. I don't agree with that. I think the Rogue is still very good. However, that kind of game still makes me question that notion, because they had 2 Swashbucklers, a South Sea Captain, Shaku, and a Vilespine on the coin. That seems like a very reasonable hand as a Tempo Rogue player to be able to exploit a lot of weaknesses, get Explosion, and play reactively if they need to. Yet despite that, they lost to a deck that also missed a turn 3. So I do have to kind of think, is that Rogue really that dependent on Prince Keleseth?
Can we say the same thing about Finja, though? I mean, Finja was a huge player in that matchup.
True that.
You know, we see here the team breakdown. G2 Lothar has been knocked off a Rogue now, and G2 has been knocked off a Rogue. So they have 5 classes remaining to work with. Again, it's the first team to 6 wins takes the set. Tice is going to be on Paladin Warlock, RDU on Mage and Shaman. Lothar now has Hunter remaining. And even though they'll be piloting individually, they are still playing in teams, as we heard
That's right.
throughout the set. And in the last hero standing format, each time a deck gets knocked out, that door closes, not just on the wins, but in your options. That's something I really love about last year's standing is it allows you to counter the deck straight back, but you are at a disadvantage playing with one less deck. I love the feeling of that impending doom that sets in as the set goes on.
So we'll definitely see Tyler stick onto the Murloc Paladin, and G2 has a choice of switching off of Lothar, or they can stick on him if they want to play Hunter. They're most likely going to try to counter the Murloc Paladin. As you take a look at some of the stats that we are tracking. Again, a reminder to viewers, this is just kind of the initial concept that we're showing you guys. Throughout the weeks, it'll get much more interesting.
Yeah, the mana total obviously is incorrect on this screen. They spent a lot more than 2 mana.
Yes, they did.
That might have been how much they floated each. I mean, they were pretty on point.
Mana.
So CompLexity floated 1 mana on the turn that they played the hero power instead of a turn 3. And G2 floated, I believe, on turn 6. They floated 1 mana, I believe, with the Vile Spine.
No, they
filled it with Firefly.
Yeah, they curved out every turn.
A mana was floated somewhere in there. I know that.
Okay. Well, either way, we will refine and update that for you guys. Looks like G2 is heading over to Tice. Now, Murloc Paladin does have a couple of notable weaknesses in the metagame. Prior to the patch, it was things like the Pirate Warrior really putting a lot of pressure on. What is it weak to now that 9.1 has been fleshed out a little bit?
Something that is not going to change anytime soon and actually got exacerbated was its matchup versus Warlock. War Leader is one of your biggest punishes against Hellfire on turn 4. And since Murloc Paladin thrives on having board synergy, the power that Warlock has to just absolutely shred a board is so vital to this matchup. One Hellfire, one Defile can completely swing the game. Paladin has really no options but to commit. And that's where Warlock, I think, shines, is against those style of threats.
And Shaman, too. Shaman is really powerful. I think Shaman's actually insanely good against Paladin as well. So those are 2 options available to it, but it looks like we're going to go to a Warlock versus Paladin and go with what you mentioned. Warlock has become the sweeping class so far. They have access to an incredible amount of area of effect, and they also have a lot of late game potency before that they were super dependent on Draxus, which made them vulnerable. But however, Blood Reaver Gul'dan, a card that I underestimated, even though I thought all the Death Knights were very good, I think Blood Reaver Gul'dan has completely exceeded my expectations for being a very good Death Knight card.
Yeah, I mean, Blood Reaver Gul'dan is definitely just one of the best ones.
I already have my
there.
own Death Knight, man. I got Shadow Reaper Anduin. That is what the pink is honoring today.
You also have been a proponent of Rexxar for...
I love that
card.
card.
It feels like years now.
It's my favorite card.
You and I spent like 4 hours trying to build a Rexxar deck one day.
A Quest Deathstalker Rexxar.
You know what we should have put in that deck?
We won.
I think it was... I want to say it was Jackie Chan. I can't quite remember who it was. They were playing Prince Keliseth in Quest Hunter. And so you filled the deck up with 3/2s, and then you use Prince Keliseth and you buff them all to 4/3s so they avoid like Primordial Drake and Consecration and stuff like that.
Brilliant.
I think it's super brilliant. I love that.
Maybe we just broke the meta and we don't even know. Just start putting... Oh, that's what's the fun thing. Start putting the princes in everything.
We built that deck.
We built the deck right now.
Totally.
And we can take credit for it,
Don't
even if it's
go look on Twitter for that deck.
It's probably like the #1 played deck of the past few days.
I mean, this matchup right here, even with G2's fairly poor opening hand, I still say they're at a pretty significant advantage. Despicable Dreadlord, 5 mana, 4/5 that deals 1 damage to the opposing board every single turn, doesn't hit players. Spellbreaker, a big player against Spike Ridge Steed, against any Blessing of King shenanigans. Even just the Mistress of Mixtures to help fight for the board, and there's Hellfire picked up. G2 is going to have so much gas to fight against CompLexity that I think that their one big way to get in this game is via the Gentle Megasaur and via the Cobalt Scalebane they have in hand. Both of those minions are outside of the range of Hellfire and Abyssal Enforcer. They both provide value.
Yeah, and you can see the power of the Murloc War Leader being able to get out of those ranges of Hellfire and Despicable Dreadlord, and now is going to be playing a little bit more into it. CompLexity also, you can see that they've teched their decks with Galaka Crawlers to try and beat some of those Tempo Rogues, as well as the any Pirate Warriors that might be straggling out, which is pretty interesting that both teams decide to omit Warrior from their lineup. But because they banned Druid and Priest, they acknowledge that Pirate Warrior still might be a threat.
Well, the other thing, too, is that Warrior's just undergoing this big change right now. A lot of the Pirate Warrior decks I've seen just move towards heavier statted minions, and as a result, I've seen some people just move kind of away from pirates. You know, they still keep them as Oss first mate and stuff, but they've moved away from just this heavy pirate synergy and more into like this mid-range tempo warrior style deck. The Galaka crawlers still have a lot of splash hate. You know, Hunter plays Bloodsail Corsair at times.
Everyone's
Shaman,
playing pirates.
Shaman's using Bloodsail Corsair. There's so many classes that use it. Let's listen to G2 and hear what they're thinking as they head into this favorite matchup.
That's fine. We just go.
So tap and Mistress.
Or just tap, depending on how much you value the Mistress.
Well, we don't telegraph anything if we play Mistress, right?
Yeah. So what are the trade-offs? They are not playing the Cold Lights here, right?
I hope they aren't.
Any possibility.
That one would be very annoying.
How committed are we to Hellfire? That well, like, what if we like Earthen Ring here and then they play Rallying Blades? We are still kind of committed to the Hellfire, right?
Yeah, we need to kill the Wall Eater anyway.
I wouldn't play Farseer here. I think tap is the play for sure.
Any
The question is if we play Mistress or not.
So they can have the Rock Pool. They will buff it to a 4/4. But
I
they
would
will
say we
trade it
should
with-
play it.
Yeah, I would also play it.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's easy to fit a 1-drop in next turns, but at the same time we have a 4-drop and maybe a 5-drop.
That's fine. Like, it's about the heal again. Like, if they have Rock Pool, they might want to buff the 3/2 here to make the value trade. So, it also does a little more.
Hey, if we buff something else and we value trade, we're very weak to the fall.
Hellfire.
Hellfire as well, yeah.
Just everything. We just give them all the chances in the world. It's just correct.
Sure if you want to do it here, though. I mean,
No,
it's
it's Spellbreaker, right?
I'm not sure. I mean, it's so good against Spiker Steed.
Yeah, but it's so far away. And we get a really good minion that doesn't trades with the Wall Eater, right? So it's 1-for-1. He only has a 2/3. I mean, Megazord.
The thing is that, yeah, Megazord beats us, so maybe Hellfire is still better. Because if we Hellfire and he Megazords and doesn't get Hell for Divine Shield, we can Dreadlord.
What are the other 4-drops? Yeah, it's...
It's only Megazord and Kings, maybe.
Like, we also set up the Dreadlord with Hellfire, so...
Yeah, with Spellbreaker, you set up the Hellfire too, but you lose your Spellbreaker. I'm not sure. Spellbreaker might also be good against some
I think
things.
Spellbreaker is kind of alright, actually, too.
I like the Spellbreaker more.
It's just bad if they use Spider
Megazord is gonna be painful.
It will be either way.
Yeah, it's painful either way.
Your magic shall not save.
The only downside of playing Spellbreaker now is that we don't have it later. Downside of playing Hellfire, he can do like so many things and keep War Leader alive, and that's gonna be so much more dangerous, I think.
It's always Megazord.
Well, it's sometimes you attack first, in case of like...
Wind Fury, Stealth, Poisonous.
Wind Fury is a lot of damage, right? Like,
Yeah, Stealth isn't better, and Poisonous means we only get one guy with Poisonous. Because like one guy will have to
Poisonous is
die.
like pretty good for his next turn if he plays like wants to play the 4/5, but
Yeah, exactly.
I think the Wind Fury get so much damage. I would just pick Wind Fury and play Scalebane next and trade the Megazord into that guy.
The War Leader. Right?
Must move quickly.
Yeah, we should go with Wind Fury.
We do trade the War Leader,
Go face first and then...
Yeah,
like with the second hit.
yeah,
Yep.
sure. It's like still Hellfire.
This has been some tough turns for G2 this game. They had to make some very suboptimal uses of very powerful cards like Spellbreaker. That's part of the reason why Spellbreaker has become such a powerful force in the metagame as a tech card is because of Murloc Paladin. There's so many ways for them to buff or to silence big targets like Tyrion or to remove buffs like Spiker Steed. And they had to use it on turn 4. And you can start seeing how G2 now is stuck in just awkward spots. They don't have Defile, and now all their big, powerful curve plays have been disrupted.
Yeah, the disrupted is the right word for it, too. Defile is an important player in this matchup, and operating without it makes it much harder. And here you're also seeing the influence of Ike and the Cobalt Scalebane. It's been such a popular choice in Paladin since America's playoffs that it's just such a major threat to rebuilding a board position from very little. And G2's current hand does play very well against it with Hellfire and with the Drain Soul here, but they're taking a lot of damage. And taking this much damage is super scary. This is where Warlock gets in the most trouble. You don't have Reno Jackson anymore to heal up. You are really reliant on keeping board clear and on getting the Blood Reaver Gul'dan.
They do have the Blood River Gul'dan, and cards like Drain Soul and Farseer might stall long enough. I've seen Warlock come back from sub 5 HP very often with Blood River Gul'dan, and we'll have to also keep a running tally on how many demons have been killed this game. One of them is Voidwalker, so that could buy them some time, and of course Despicable Dreadlord also has end of turn effects. So if CompLexity goes for a Cobalt Scalebane and any kind of board, whether or not they trade or go phase, G2 will have a clear with Hellfire and Drain Soul next turn. And that's going to be really painful for CompLexity because they don't have a turn 6 play with Spiker Steed anymore if they lose all their minions here.
I am really curious about that trade as well. I mean, they had an opportunity to pick up 5 more damage. They know that they're lined up for Hellfire, but in this spot, CompLexity plays around a lot of different scenarios. They force G2 to have an additional card here to mop up the Cobalt Scalebane, in the event that Hellfire's here.
Yeah.
Drain Soul was cut from a lot of these decks.
It's true.
The fact that they're seeing right here is big information for potential future games, and also probably a surprise to them.
Yeah, that's a big shocker. And now you can start seeing how CompLexity's turn 6 has largely been completely disrupted here. They're originally looking at the Spiker Steed to cement their board, considering that Spellbreaker 1 has been used. Now, instead, their best play is looking like a Gentle Megasaur setup.
Yeah, and this is tough. I mean, Gentle Megasaur definitely plays strong against the range of options that G2 will have.
It's true.
But when your reload is quite this weak and your hand's as heavy as theirs is, I think CompLexity is starting to worry.
Maybe. I mean, the nice thing about Gentle Megasaur is that it plays outside of the range of Abyssal Enforcer, and your opponent's at 14, which I want to call into your discussion about should they have gotten that extra 5 damage in.
It just makes him so much weaker to Hellfire.
It does, and it makes Life Tap that much more painful too.
Yeah, but that, again, it's 5 damage. Like
it's a completely different game. If
the Cobalt Scalebane gets in 5 damage, maybe. I don't know. Let's listen to G2 and see how they want to take on this upcoming turn.
From turn 0. So that might be the Spiker Steed.
No,
I don't know. You cannot make a read on this because
you never keep that. You never keep that.
It was mulligan away.
Guys, you cannot make a read on that because they played on curve. They didn't have empty mana, so you cannot make reads on what. Let's focus on what we can do. Stonehill Drake, is that ever a play?
Yeah, it's often a play here.
And you go Stonehill first because he gives you the card.
Yeah.
Yeah,
maybe it's a better 4-drop, right?
It's gonna be hard to make Devour work if they have more buff, but yeah. I think it's always Voidwalker.
Because you can go Abyssal Voidwalker next turn.
And it's really good with Gul'dan, so...
Yeah.
I like it.
Bone Mare, huh?
I think we just want to steed and then dome him, right?
Curator doesn't even give us good draws anymore. Like, we use 2 Gentles and we use Cobalt.
I like Steed a lot.
So we only get like a Golak and a Murloc.
Yeah.
Steed is just good.
They full play
actually
free
like
Curator and
Steed.
they play a 3 damage thingy. And I don't think we just get there.
And they use Spellbreak already. It's, yeah.
How likely is it they run 2? Not likely.
Not too likely. I mean, they seem to be running Show's version with the garbage Stonehill. Like, that's definitely bad.
Okay, it's definitely
the
Steed.
2-2.
Yeah.
Okay, now we have to be defensive.
More the coil. No, it's horrible. We might have
Do we
to
tap?
Yeah, might have
We need
to
to tap, yeah.
Actually, wait.
I mean, we can go for Farseer, Voidwalker, Ghoul anyway, right? So that's 4 mana.
We can go enforce a Voidwalker, but it's kinda it kills if we kill our own Drake. It blocks quite well. Maybe we have to actually.
We could die if we go for that.
Possibility.
Could we not? 6 damage for
Yeah,
the
but what
Voidwalker.
are we looking for from the tap? That's my problem.
Yeah, there's like coil and that's it. Maybe Enforcer Voidwalker is the play, but it's so risky.
Yeah, but I think we have to. And then we have to hope for a good Devour. I don't think you can get here with tapping.
Okay,
I want to go Enforcer.
I agree.
And we just hope that we don't die.
I mean, it's hard to die over 1 turn, but we might die in 2 turns.
All right, well, that's going to wrap up game 2. CompLexity has picked up their second weapon.
Oh, no, don't choose the True Silver.
They're-
Oh my gosh.
This is potentially something that CompLexity doesn't want to do, which is reveal a True Silver champion. It's not a card that's commonly listed in Paladin card decks these days.
And I'm sorry I freaked out about it a little bit here, but this is last hero standing. Concealing that kind of information can really throw your opponent off. If you show that True Silver, your opponent's going to think a lot less about Blessing of Kings.
That's right. And so CompLexity takes game 2 victory over G2. And, you know, something that's in the back of my mind is just the Spellbreaker usage. And something that's, you know, you have to kind of question, was it in utmost importance to use it? I mean, you can argue that G2 wouldn't even get to that point without using Spellbreaker because they needed to get onto the board. It played mana efficiently, but they were also stuck with some cards that they couldn't find pocket usages of either. There was the Farseer that would have flowed so much mana with the Happy Ghoul. And in the end, G2 has now lost another really powerful deck. Now, granted, Warlock's best matchup is against Shaman and G2 Bandit,
Well,
so they don't lose too much by losing the Warlock, but still painful.
Yeah, we mentioned that Drain Soul was still was included in the deck, but something I noticed throughout that set is that Stonehill Defender's in here, and I saw the Happy Ghoul. I was like, wait a minute, these are not cards you typically include. There was no duplicates in that game. I think that was a Kazakus Warlock build.
Well, we won't know anymore because G2's Warlock has been eliminated, but it sure is curious to see because the second copy of Voidwalker was from the Stonehill Defender.
That's right. But that being said, I do agree with you. I think the Spellbreaker should have been held on to. I think it's one of your big swing turns. I think that their Hellfire into Despicable Dreadlord setup was very strong. Again, Blessing of Kings is really the only thing that would have punished their play.
A Gentle Megasaur buff on that, even just a +1/+1, is really bad too. To be
Sure,
fair.
but that's a tough one to come up with.
Well, the reason why is because you know the matchup ends up becoming a matchup where Murloc Paladin needs to land a Spikered Steed or a Bone Mare or even have Tyrion hit the board. They need to have some big value swing with a target that usually wants to get silenced in order to win, assuming they can't just win through a cheese victory of turns 1 through 4 perfect curve.
Yeah, or just like pure attrition, things like that.
And you can just see that right now G2 is just they're kind of getting pushed on a little bit too much here. The Murloc Paladin is just having reasonable starts. They're not even having the craziest of nut starts that you usually expect. They're having very good Gentle Megasaur opportunities, but for the most part has been stopped until things like Fidget hit the board or when they land a Spiker Steed that can't get answered. That's when it becomes really devastating, and they can't really go back from there. So what do they even do from here for game number 3 here?
Well, you still have some counters lined up. As you mentioned, Shaman's still in the pool for G2. That's a deck that's strong against it unless they've chosen sort of a weird build for it. Something that's really to note for me is that you're seeing why Murloc War Leader got changed. I mean, this deck is still powerful without the additional health buff that card provides. With it, this deck just had some absolutely absurd, nigh unbeatable starts with actual metagame decks. Like if you wanted to build something specifically to beat Murloc Paladin, that's not difficult to do. But building a deck specifically to beat Murloc Paladin and then also having reasonable chances versus other decks, that is a lot tougher.
This is a very interesting mulligan from the very beginning from G2. I actually kind of want to hear their thoughts, even though they've already gone through it, because you've definitely see a lot of people debate whether or not you keep Eaglehorn Bow as a hunter. Hunter as a class likes to be proactive. However, in faster matchups where turns 1 to 3 determine almost everything about the game, Eaglehorn Bow can be a really powerful asset to eliminate big threats like War Leaders or things that War Leader buffs.
Yeah, I mean, just like how important Fiery War Axe is. Sometimes you just need to be able to deal 3 damage.
Yeah, I mean, Eaglehorn Bow is like a strictly better Fiery War Axe.
There's a lot of secrets played in Hunter right now, and they always get value from their Eaglehorn Bow. It's a lot like Rallying Blade. I personally hold it until I get Tyrion online.
Took me a while to really to get there, but I'm glad I stuck with you. CompLexity originally was going to play this Warlock Tidecaller, but there is an argument for the Vilefin Inquisitor, considering how the 3 health does make a big difference.
If you think about the main openers, you're thinking about Bloodsail Corsair, you're thinking about Alley Cat, you're maybe thinking about Fiery Bat. I think Vilefin Inquisitor does better versus all 3 of those. You know, you don't really need the buffs on the Murloc Tidecaller to get this particular matchup rolling. A lot of this is simply squelching the Hunter's opener and making sure that they can't land big synergy targets. No Crackling Razor Maws on big turns. You don't want them to be able to Houndmaster. And you even just want to contest Bear Shark at the right opportunity. So I think just keeping as much board presence as possible, a lot more important than dealing extra damage.
Hunter's also seen a lot more play since 9.1 patch. Most notably from Asmodai being able to hit #1 Legend with a mid-range hunter that kind of hybridizes a lot of the pressure while still having a lot of the normal mid-range burst. And then you see guys like Orange really push it. RDU's been a big proponent of Hunter, and he's on the G2 roster as well. And the big thing that people love about it is just the inclusion of Bearded Hydra. The 5-mana slot has always been a little awkward for Hunter these days, ever since Hunter largely moved away from like Sludge Belchers. Stranglethorn Tiger was a candidate for a while. Tundra Rhino was. Lothep was back then. Nesting Rock. They all felt kind of like the black sheep of it because it didn't really fit too much with Hunter's plan. But Beartide Hydra summarizes it perfectly. I set up a really big minion so I can burst. It's a beast. It's a big threat. And then it also sets up perfectly into high main.
Something I'm looking at is the Bittertide Hydra, the Savannah high main. You know, Hunter was originally meant to just operate very well versus Priest. If you're banning Priest, should you build your Hunter deck differently? You know, Bittertide Hydra struggles in some of Hunter's worst matchups. I'm thinking stuff like Murloc Paladin. I'm honestly kind of surprised they queued this up into Murloc Paladin because this matchup's somewhat dreary. There's a lot of 1-drops in their side of contest. At any time they land a Rockpool Hunter, you're going to have trouble. Even just Stonehill Defender is a problematic card for you. If you're not able to get Houndmaster online, you really struggle in this matchup. And you got to consider Rallying Blade. You have to consider True Silver Champion. Even to some extent, Aldor Peacekeeper, although that's probably the one you eliminate first.
Well, yeah, and like I was saying too, I still believe Shaman's very good against Murloc Paladin, so, and G2's been holding into it. Let's go ahead and start listening to the teams, as you've heard some of our thoughts on the matchup, and let's hear their thoughts on the plays.
Kill the 1-3, right?
Does it?
Well, we didn't see Oracle, right? So far.
I think we kill the 1-2.
Okay.
Because if he plays, let's say, War Leader, then you would want to kill the War Leader too. For example.
That's a good point.
Killing the 1-3 is only good if they have a Rock Pool, and I think that if they had a play Rock Pool over.
Yeah, that's true.
So, yeah, I would bow the 1-2. Crab would be so good.
It's coming now, man. It's coming.
You can still grab something that has Spiker Steed on it, so it's okay.
We can still draw Tracking and play Tracking Crab and Alley Cat. That's also a possibility. Stonehill, they also play that, okay.
They are not playing with the Divine Shield cards, man.
Then it's good that we killed the fucking 1-2.
The unfortunate.
It would have been unfortunate if we didn't kill that. But now we have to top deck a 2-drop.
Yeah, Bear Shark.
The 2 or a 3.
Bear Shark is super weak against War Leader. Oh my god.
Kill Commander 1-3. You kill Commander 1-3, right?
Yeah.
Probably.
And then you go Alley Cat kill command for 5 maybe.
Oh, God.
It's fine. We got this.
Sure, do it.
We got this. This is so...
Wally down to Righteous?
Yep.
Like, I don't see a reason to just slam Gentle here.
No, I don't either. Well, this. Yeah. What you said.
Yeah.
Mm. 4 mana. No, I don't see data.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, just like the mana thingy, I thought about that at first, but I just don't see it being.
Is there a
than
positioning?
trying. The
There's no
1/1 in the
positioning.
middle. Well, if you run the AoE card, the explosive shot, right? So it's better to have the Righteous in the middle.
Sure.
You know, it deals 5 to the one in the middle and 2 to the ones to the sides. So.
If they run the cuts, then I don't know.
There's also the Grievous Bite, right? I can and 1 to the ones next to it.
Kill command.
Why don't we need Alicat? Alicat next turn with
Because-
Houndmaster.
No, you want a Hydra next turn, I think.
Well, Hydra against this board? What do you do with the Hydra against this stuff here? It will attack into those minions for 3 turns.
I mean, if you play the Alicat, it won't. But I don't think Alicat Kill Command is a powerful play. Hydra is a powerful enough play. If you go Alicat Kill Command, he's gonna trade like 1 cat, he can trade the bow into the 1/4, he only has the 1/1. You play the Hydra into the 1/1. Whatever, you take some extra damage, you miss a turn, you play Savannah then, he's gonna do some buffs, you go Spellbreaker. I think that's the play.
You might also want a Spellbreaker if they have Steed at 6, so...
Yeah. I don't know. I think Alicat is good here because it sets up the bow, and I think Hydra is a way better play than going Alicat Houndmaster. That's like super slow.
Who knew there was so much to think about with Hunter?
Well, it's there's a lot to think about with Hunter when you have a start like this, when things are not very fast at all. You don't get your Alley Cat, Crackling Razor Maw, Bear Shark curves into Houndmaster. Instead, you're stuck with 2 kill commands against Vilefit Inquisitors. It's a very tough spot to be in as the Hunter. However, with that Spellbreaker pickup, I wonder if G2 can actually start playing maybe even the slow defensive style. Who knows? Maybe they even get Deathstalker Rexar, which sounds silly at first. You're like, you know, you have to worry about your board, but Deathstalker Rexar is a very powerful card against things like Paladin and Priest when things slow down.
Yeah.
In a war of attrition, Deathstalker Rexar generates infinite threats. And eventually, if you start fighting value for value, you can start turning the board into your favor.
Speaking of infinite threats.
Yeah, this can get really bad, especially if Poisonous comes out. Wow. Or perhaps, okay, well, I was thinking at Poisonous, but
honestly, all of their
yeah,
options were
the
good.
1/1s were really good.
Yeah, even that attack right there makes me kind of curious. Like, should they be doing that? Like, if they just go all face, that Bitter Tide attacks into the 1/1. They take 3 more damage. And you run in the 1/1 poison. And it's
true.
You know, they're playing around Unleash the Hounds a little bit better by doing it this way.
Yeah, but Unleash the Hounds has largely been taken out of a lot of the Hunter decks.
Exactly. And it's not a deck that wants to fight from behind. It wants to take the board and keep it very aggressively. You know, G2 has very much struggled in this game just to find adequate plays. And that's really the mark of players that you look for and how they become winning players. You know, sure, you can do great when you have the perfect opening hands. Almost anybody can. That's the nature of a card game. You play a very powerful deck, you want very powerful draws. But how do you do when you have the average starts or the below average starts? Can you win those games anyway?
I mean, this has been a very below average start for G2. They didn't even have a real 2-mana minion. This is the first that they've drawn all game. And turn 2 plays have often defined the early tempo stages of Hearthstone.
And staring down 2 poisonous minions, this is looking more and more grim. Second Megasaur lined up.
They've had Megasaur every single game. You can see that Lothar a little bit frustrated just by watching how CompLexity's been able to stack this Murloc Paladin board. But again, you know, I wonder what they're saving their Shaman for. Shaman's is exceptional at dealing with Murloc Paladin.
Might be a weird build.
Because it could be a non-token Shaman build. Maybe they don't even have Devolve in their Shaman build, and that's probably why they might be fearing it. But
I know that RDU recently he tweeted that he took one of the Devolves out of token Shaman, and he said the deck just felt so much better. And that actually could be a real influence now that you mention it.
Interesting.
He said it just felt more fluid, and that the deck felt like it was operating on its game plan more often.
Yeah, I mean, Hunter, the thing about Hunter too is that Hunter tends to have very even matchup spread. There are a few decks that it crushes, you know. We're talking about like any kind of mage that plays Ice Block or Warlock. It tends to get a really good...
That's a really weird looking trade. It's paying respect to the top deck of Deathstalker Rexar here.
Yeah. Yeah, it's purely for Deathstalker Rexar. That's going to wrap up Game 3.
Wow.
CompLexity holding strong here as they are currently halfway to starting off the Trinity Series with a 1-0 lead over G2.
Yeah, that's right. Last hero standing. If your deck wins, it keeps going. If your deck loses, it's knocked out of contention. The first team to 6 wins is what takes the set. And as a replay from Trinity Series Season 1, Paladin is the showstopper on the first day.
Yeah, well, what's really surprising is 2 things. 1, Murloc Paladin's still very good, but 2, G2 just hasn't found the answer to it. In a format like Last Hero Standing, you're supposed to queue up a counter deck, and every loss subsequently puts you even further behind on the chain. Usually you're supposed to be able to play a deck, and if you lose with it, counter it, and then always kind of match 1 for 1. And if you're able to ever go 2 in a row, you're in a significant advantage. But now it's 3 in a row for CompLexity, and you got to start wondering, what does G2 have left that can stop it?
It's a tough call, and you know I was about to mention the poetic irony here of last season in the very first match, G2 swept their opponents.
Alliance, I believe.
With Paladin.
Yeah.
And right now,
G2
they're facing CompLexity, and they're down 3 games to Paladin. Just how crazy would that be? How does the world do this? Like, is Hearthstone actually scripted, Dan?
Especially with the answers that seem to exist based off the normal stuff. Now, we do know that people like RDU and Tice like to beat the meta, so they could have offbeat Shaman decks, offbeat Mage decks, but I do feel like they had better options than maybe Hunter in Game 3. Warlock wasn't a bad choice, I think. I think it's okay.
I think Warlock was the choice.
Yeah, it was great for Game 2. And when that falls through, you need to have double layers of protection for every kind of bad scenario. G2's already kind of past that wall at this point.
It's definitely very difficult at this point. You know, you mentioned it with beat the meta style of players. They very much are that. And the thing about that is those styles of players know when to simply play the meta as well. When you're trying and practice over and over and over again to try to get there and it doesn't work, you have to just go with the meta. And CompLexity has always been a play the meta style of team. And you know, talking about beat the meta strategies, they are very feast or famine. When they work, they look absolutely genius. But when they fail, you're left wondering what happened. And a lot of times that's just what card games are about. You know, you talked about Prince Kaliseth earlier. How weak is Rogue if they don't draw Prince Kaliseth? The answer is it's weaker, but it still wins games. You know, part of building a strong deck is having a deck that just has those openers that can't really feel like that they're beatable. You will have failure rates when you build a deck that way. That's just part of the risk you have to take.
Yeah, and I think another thing to point out too is that Murloc Paladin still is very much a worthy candidate, just like Jade Druid is still a very powerful deck, despite the fact that Priest is getting a lot of fanfare now because, like, well, Priest is the only class that really hasn't gotten nerfed that's still top tier. Maybe that's the strongest deck in the meta, but you still have to consider how good some of these decks are, despite the fact that they've been set back a peg or 2 because of patch 9.1.
Yeah, it's a very good point to make. Jade Druid is just a lot more fair now, is what it boils down to. You don't see, you know, those turn 5, turn 6 ultimate infestations nearly as often, and those are really some of the back-breaking moments of playing against that deck, who has the double ramp into an innervate play. When that's no longer there, the deck has to operate on a more linear curve. And when your linear curve is a 2-3 that makes a 1-1, and then a mana ramp that makes a 2/2 and then a 3/6 makes a 3/3. It's much weaker than just being able to just power straight through and jam out ultimate infestations and protect yourself with Spreading Plague super easily. Now Spreading Plague is contesting Jade Behemoth where that drop is concerned. And it looks like a standard Shaman to me. I'm very surprised this was not third on the chopping block.
Standard Shaman. I mean, what if it's Jade Shaman? It still has this, but Jade Shaman still plays.
That's still going to be very
still
good.
Very good.
And even in Jade Shaman, you'll be sometimes seeing Lightning Storm included in that. Let's listen to G2 and hear through their mulligans in game 1 or in game 4. Sorry.
Oh, looks okay.
So full kit?
I'm not sure if it's and how likely is it you get the Argent Squire or Firefly? The Jades are stacking together. You can consider Jade. You can consider Jade Lightning to not be a keep, but the other two are
I
must keep.
think when you have Jade Claws, then Jade Lightning actually is a keep. Because you get it.
Jade's Claws and Maelstrom just work so good together, man.
Mm-hmm. I kept it. Okay. If we can also find Devolve, that's also a good card. They kept 2, so they're gonna have an opener again.
Of course. It's fine.
Yeah, we're already used to that.
Yeah, we're definitely righteous. Think we double one. Yeah, it doesn't make sense to save the blade, right? I mean, if we just play righteous, we can coin the blade, but I don't like that.
We play Warlock Tidecaller, by the way, right?
Yeah, we play Warlock and Righteous and then Hydrologist.
For sure.
Yep.
I'm just thinking, let's just think, why would they keep 3 cards and not play anything here? So they...
Weapon, Devolve, Portal, the Totem. Like, you keep Flame Tongue, you even keep the other Totem.
They probably have the Totem.
Primal Fin.
Right. We get to kill that, right? So it's fine.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's only Righteous Protector, or it's double these. And I think only Righteous is weird. Like, what if we don't want to Rallying Blade next turn? Then we look real stupid. We're not just jamming a minion. A Primal Fin.
Well, it's so hard, man.
Yeah. No, it's J-Close. The question is if we attack with the close or not.
I think you attack.
I think you don't, maybe, because they double trade, you Maelstrom. It's awesome. And if they don't do that, then we can still Maelstrom and clear as almost well. I don't think we trade.
There is a downside, guys. If you don't trade, then he can rock pull the Tidecaller and trade with that Tidecaller, and then we cannot go through.
Yeah, but then we still have the Maelstrom with Jade Claws on the... then there's only a 1 HP minion.
Okay, sure,
This 1/1 Divine Shield will always die to the and making a trade no matter what. I think we never attack here, I think.
Okay, I see. It's fine. Yeah. The only slight punishment is the 2-3, but you're saying that we can kill the 2 other guy.
Yeah, I think we can clean it up.
Hydrogolist, but how do we trade? Probably the 1/1 Righteous into that?
Is it not just the same against the Portal?
It's the same against Portal. Let's just play the Hydrologist first.
So
yeah, it's actually the same against Portal.
If it's the same against Portal, we should trade the Caller, right?
Redemption, Repentance, Eye for an Eye. It's not Eye for an Eye. I mean, Redemption is good, right?
Yeah, it's Redemption.
Yeah, Redemption. Repentance is only good against the 5/5.
Yeah, it's hard to get.
Too theoretical. Redemption will always be good.
Okay, so now for this trade.
It's a 2/2, I would say. Like Crane said.
Because it's the same against Portal.
Still clear, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there's something else. But
well, this is kind of what we're talking about when Shaman's able to dissect the Murloc Paladin deck. And if it wasn't through Jade Claws, it's also through the fact that they have really big evolve turns that can't really get answered easily, and then also the fact that they have one of the best tools against anything that the Murloc Paladin is able to build and devolve, assuming they're playing that.
It's also just the strength of Jade Lightning. Oftentimes, if you're seeing Megasaur on turn 4, Jade Lightning lines up super well into that. If you're seeing War Leader on this turn, that is just such a strong card. And their opening hand was just unbelievable good against this particular matchup. The double Maelstrom Portal, the double Jade Claws, the Jade Lightning. I'm really surprised they chose to hold the Jade Claw attack on turn 2. You heard them talking about not much reason to play it, or not much reason to swing with it, I'm sorry, but man, you got a second Jade Claw in hand. Let's get going.
Well, I think they want to set up for the cleanest Jade Lightning possible swing, too. And I think that's also a viable line that they've taken. You guys can see, by the way, the secret overlay shows redemption.
Ooh,
in
mama.
case you missed it. Devolve comes into the hand.
You heard Artie mention if they can find Devolve, it is such a powerful play against this deck.
Yeah, and they don't even have to play it early. I mean, right now it seems very clean, Devolve.
It's going right into Megasaur is the reason I like Devolve. They can anticipate this secret is along the lines of Getaway Kodo or Redemption in this spot. I think Devolve is lining up super well.
They're going to Portal first, indicating that they're going to hold on to Devolve.
Devolve is just such a strong tool. I mean, holding it here I have no problem with because of how good it is when you start seeing, you know, Bone Mare turns, when you start seeing Spike Ridge Steed in the face of Megasaur coming down. It's good at almost every stage.
Yeah, I'm liking
and here,
clearing off one of the Murlocs.
You see the benefit of holding that Jade Claw attack at this point. Now they have 2 charges remaining and they've done basically the same job.
Yep.
I think the second Maelstrom Portal really influences the decision to hold that Jade Claw attack.
Good trade on the Hydrologist to ensure that your 2/2 is safer and kind of make Megasaur have to have that +1/+1.
Ooh.
CompLexity draws air. Tyrion's great to have in the late stage of the game, but even against Shaman, if they're having Devolve, Tyrion just becomes a random 7-mana minion. You lose the Death Rattle effect.
Well, we're quickly approaching the late stage of the game where Shaman is concerned. Right when they can start casting Jade Lightning, right when they can start casting Doppelgangster, that's really why Shaman is considered a powerful deck, is that it hits its late game scaling a lot earlier than most decks do. And that's really what makes it such a scary deck to play against.
Right, and it's so robust as well, because even though you look for like its big power swing turns with Doppelgangster Evolve or even Thrall Deathseer or some of these other things, you can also use it prematurely on just a smaller board. Like if you evolved with a Totem next turn, that's still a reasonable board that you have to fight back from because of the threat of Flametongue Totem and Bloodlust.
You can see the pain on Tyler's face. These are not good options that he's got.
Yeah, there's Galactic Crawler Hero Power, or there's Rallying Blade. Start listening and see how G2 is going to press this lead and how does CompLexity bounce back from this deficit.
Oh, nice.
I think we played.
Yeah, we played every time. If they use the weapon there, it's fine.
Completely agreed.
That's nice. Just an evolve here, and we got this.
Ooh.
Oh, that's not bad as well.
Depends what you hit.
Well, you know, we have a lot of good options, especially with that Marshall on board.
It's kind of scary not drawing the minions.
Yeah, I think so too.
It didn't show that. Oh.
Oh, that's nice, but not yet.
I think we Barnes on the left.
Yeah, Barnes on the left, Hero Power.
Yeah.
Because if you get another Flametongue Totem, then we can get a Taunt Totem on the right.
Ah.
So Hero Power?
Yeah, hero power.
Yeah, very good chance.
I mean, in any case, we kind of just gotta play Crawler Hero Power, kill the Barnes.
Yeah, I agree.
We don't have any comeback mechanic, like, now that they have initiative.
All right, so I think G2 is going to commandingly seize this game. It doesn't seem like there's any signs of them slowing down. Even if CompLexity plays as curator and draws and evens up the card count here, G2 is just so firmly ahead of the board that it doesn't really matter what CompLexity does. Another thing too that we've been discussing is also the impact of the deck building phase. You see like this True Silver Champion Galaka Crawler. They actually wish that they had different cards besides those. True Silver Champion's a tech decision, despite it being a core Paladin card for many years.
Yeah, it's definitely starting to show some cracks here, but they pick up 3 wins with this Paladin.
I think its job is done.
Oh, its job is more than done. I think if you get 1 win with Paladin, you're pretty darn happy with that,
right.
Especially if it's the lead win.
I do think it's interesting to show that some of the weaknesses and trade-offs of the deck building are starting to show. The Galaka Crawler hasn't done anything.
Like imagine if CompLexity had included a Primordial Drake here. Like maybe if they were a bit of a slower build.
Sure.
How would that have impacted their past matchups? And would it be worth it to have that comeback potential in this matchup?
In this matchup, yes. In other matchups, you absolutely don't want against Warlock or any of the other decks that destroy the Murloc Paladin. So in the end, it ends up being okay for CompLexity. And G2, on the other hand, how does things like Happy Ghoul end up helping them or not helping them? They wish it was a much more powerful and impactful draw.
Yeah. Something else to note here, too, is that G2 can play some pretty strong deductive logic here, where they have not seen Primordial Drake, they have not seen Consecration. They are likely not fearing those cards whatsoever. So that will likely impact the way that they choose to use their board in situations like this.
Yeah, just take a look. They play...
Like normally you would use Jade Claws, I think. But here, I think there's great reason to simply trade in the Searing Totem, use one of the Divine Shields, etc. You have so many strong options available for playing to the board as hard as you can. Wow.
The only thing is I don't know what you would be saving the J-Claw swings for. Because you expect either Tyrion or a cheap minion plus Bone Mare, and both of those are less costly swings. But this is a cheaper swing than those other minions being used next turn.
Yeah, I like holding the claw here a lot. I'm glad that they recognize that.
Well,
it's free almost.
You just have to think about like what's the value of holding on to it versus not. So if they have a wider board, then Jaded Claws is more useful. So if they end up spreading out and playing smaller threats, that's when Jade Claw gets better. Otherwise, swinging into this minion is the same as swinging into Tyrion or a Bone Mare minion.
Right. This also opens up a board slot for them. I don't really know what
that's
that could
also
be
a good
for.
point. Yeah. Something that we didn't think about too. Because they didn't play the Flame Elemental.
I did. Let's listen to CompLexity, see if they feel they have comeback potential in this game.
Still Tyrion, though.
Yeah, I would probably also Tyrion.
Nick, the small guys don't really clear enough, right?
We beat like
It's not the winning
something
play.
evolve and us getting a good 7-drop, right?
Let me think.
Yeah, I think it's the big boy.
Yep.
Put your faith in the
Big boy, they devolve, we get something lucky, then we bone mare something. Back. Oh, very theoretical though.
Let's just go Flame Tongue. Isn't this a lot of damage?
You trade you trade the healing totem in and then twice Arch Squire.
Yeah, and double Squire. And then we can push.
And then you can 6, 8, 12 maximum, but of course we could not play Jade Lightning here.
I would also just... I would trade and then Hero Power Jade Lightning in their face, I think. And set up Lethal.
Okay. Yeah, as long as the town totem survives, it's fine.
Uh-huh. So now Hero Power Jade Lightning.
Yeah.
Do we stop Lethal?
Hero power first. We always do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, set up Lethal. I think we do it. The Jade Lightning.
Well, it's a 4/4, right? So it's almost unkillable
Yeah.
for him. Yeah.
Do it. We have to evolve.
Yeah.
Yeah, that should be enough to get us.
So, Hero Power, Inquisitor, Rockpool, Megasaur is probably better than Crawler Bone Mare, right? Is it?
So we want Taunt.
Then we have to hit Taunt though.
Let
Yeah, what
Let's
is the
see.
highest?
If we get Taunt, how bad is it? It's still pretty bad, right?
Well,
we
we're
get
just dead
spawned-
if we bone the rock pool, we're just dead on board.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Are we not? So-
Well, then it's our only option, right?
Yeah, I think we're still dead even if we had Taunt, but whatever.
Yeah, just go for the Inquisitor play.
Must move quickly.
I should
Should.
Buff the Inquisitor, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, I love CompLexity's efforts here. They
Yeah, they're
continuously
diligence.
fought, but it is futile in this game.
They know that they're just dead on the board. Forget whatever else you thought about this game. It is over, and G2 begins the comeback march. Can they carry the Shaman even further beyond as they win game 4? But they've got a lot of room to make up here.
And there's the smile from RDU. He knows that when he's won a game with this style of hand, if he continues to draw well, Shaman can get there. I mean, Shaman quite literally has game versus every deck in the format because of Doppelgangster Evolve. Even in your worst matchups, that can turn the game around.
That's right. A lot of time. Shaman's the #1 play deck for me this season, primarily because I enjoyed the Evolve style. It's very fun, very refreshing, and also I think the deck is very challenging to play because it is extremely intensive on resource management. There's so many times when I used to play Token Shaman in the very beginning and felt, man, this deck just doesn't do anything ever unless you get Doppelgangster Evolve. But when I started watching a lot of other players play the deck, RDU being one of them I watched, Calento being another one, I saw how well they push all their resources. So I really think this deck can carry G2 back in the series.
It's much harder to play than people give it credit for. It's just very forgiving when you get the right draw.
It's true. It's true. It's a very powerful deck, and we'll see if G2 can continue the comeback train. So when we come back, more Trinity Season 2 action continues right after this.
Who's that pro?
I think we have to all be going to Volcanic Potion next turn into Blizzard. Into this hand.
Someone's out on me.
Portals online.
Ice!
I think we have to we go into Volcanic Potion, next turn into Blizzard, into... Oh, this hand.
You guys seeing this?
Game, record, and stream without compromise. Only on Intel Core i7.
Welcome back, everybody, to Trinity Series Season 2. Hope you guys enjoyed that little spot the lethal there. I think everyone can agree that two things. One, we absolutely should be trying a Voltron Quest Mage. And two, picking that Angry Chicken was of the utmost important for sequencing for that lethal.
Of course, brought to you by Intel and Twitch here at the ESL Studios in Burbank.
That's right.
But that actually looked just really cool. Like,
yeah, that was fun.
I have tried to Voltron people so many times that I don't think I've ever actually done it. They just always kill it. But if you take the extra turn, they can't stop you.
Well, they can't stop you. And, you know, interestingly enough, I do feel like it has some viability because you can Alex Straza them, and then they go down to 15, then you Voltron for 16. And it's also better against Dirty Rat, because Dirty Rat, they pull out your Source Apprentice or Antonius, you're dead, but they Dirty Rat your Mimron's head, or they Dirty Rat your mechs.
Then you just Gobble Blast Mage him.
You just... I don't know. Either way, very fun stuff, and plenty more to come for Trinity Series. If you guys are tuning in for the first time, either today or in general, we are playing an 8-team, $150,000 Hearthstone tournament. And we're currently in the middle of our very first inaugural kickoff match here with CompLexity versus G2. CompLexity won 3 in a row with Paladin until G2 stopped them with the Shaman. Now we go into a Warlock versus Shaman. This is a tough matchup for G2.
Oh, yeah. It's very similar to how we set up the Murloc Paladin versus Warlock matchup earlier. Shaman is a deck that thrives on board synergy. And with Warlock, the deck is pretty much based around shredding apart those little boards that rely on that style of synergy. So if they're able to find AoE and keep the board clear and have those clear skies, CompLexity will be smooth sailing into their endgame. But otherwise, they're going to be under a lot of pressure.
Well, it's the fact that Warlock has so much area of effect cards these days. They have Defile, they have Abyssal Enforcer, they have Hellfire, and Despicable Dreadlord. That's 8 ways to clear Shaman boards. And of course, you have even better ways to extend that. So, for example, you play Despicable Dreadlord, you play Blood Reaver Goldan, it sweeps the board yet again.
Yeah.
This is a terrible match for Shaman. However, you mentioned that Shaman has game against everything because of that potency of Doppelgangster Revolve.
It's one of those key cards.
Yeah, and even Thrall Deathseer as a possibility to bring you back into the game too.
And notice CompLexity's opening hand here. They redraw the Mountain Giant, and if that was a single copy, that would be very unusual to be redrawing it this early after the mulligan. Of course, that is on their turn 1 draw. They drew that, not off the mulligan. But with G2, when we saw their Warlock, we did not see a duplicate card, and that actually really weakens their matchup versus decks like Shaman and like Murloc Paladin, where rather than having these major redundancies in effects with Defile and Hellfire, etc., you only have 1 copy of each. But you get the power of Kazakus, you get the power of Cruel being able to bring out a Doomguard and have Gul'dan be that extra burst and more power on the board. With CompLexity, it looks like they're playing a more standard version, and this will give them more power versus these board-centric decks.
Yeah, looks like just a regular Handlock or Control Warlock, depends on however you want to coin it. G2 also has the Argent Squires in their decks, and you also saw the Barns. So they do have a couple of offbeat choices for Shaman that people don't usually see, and things like the Argent Squire make it more resilient against the usual things clearing it, but Defile is still very powerful against the Divine Shield minions.
No question about it. And here, CompLexity is faced with an interesting turn. They had the option of simply playing the Doomsayer and going into Clear Skies on turn 3. The lack of their follow-up, it really discouraged them from that, as well as just the strength of their hand. It's fairly weak right now, and I think they need to focus on life taps. Here, you're going to see Mortal Coil. You're very likely to see Doomsayer in this spot since it's difficult to contest. And if they pull a Devolve this early, it's not the end of the world for them. I mean, there's still very little pressure on board for G2 in this spot, so Doomsayer, I think, is a payoff here, either way you slice it.
Yeah. And then you have to also evaluate if you're Shaman, is it worth evolving to save an Argent Squire and to stop your opponent's turn 4, which they've already committed 2 cards to the board. So you know Twilight Drake and Mountain Giant are much weaker. Well, Mountain Giant can't get played, so it's not even about weaker. Yeah. It's just CompLexity was thinking about tapping so much in the early game, and now has decided to use Doomsayer instead.
I mean, Devolve definitely is a lot easier to use when you know that you have second copy in there. Again, I had mentioned that RDU had talked about cutting the second one. I imagine that's for ladder play. Mostly. When they have a second copy, it makes it easier to use here. You're not really stopping the play here, but let's listen into the teams and see what they're thinking of this situation.
So I might have thought about Mana Tide, maybe.
Okay, we definitely tap.
Yep.
And then we see.
Yeah, agree.
All these guys, right? We want to tap.
Could it even be that we don't play the 1-drops, maybe? So we can get the Giant out?
Yeah, like, just play the 2-3, right? There's a chance. Let's tap first and see what we get.
Wait, can we play the Giants then?
If we want to play a Giant next turn, we gotta tap and pass.
And
Then
pass?
Go to 5.
Alright, let's just tap, see what we get. They have 4. It's not like they're going to develop much on 4.
Like, if you don't get the Giant out next turn, we will never get it out, right?
It's a close one.
And if he plays a 1-drop, see, he can just J-line and clear the board.
I like passing.
I think I like passing as well.
Yeah.
Ah, Jakob, why are you so greedy? You're making me greedy. You're so greedy, you're making me greedy.
Like, if we don't pass here, we're forced to Shadow Bolt to drop thing. It was pretty close.
I think it's like, with how well the early game has gone for us, I think it was 100% correct to do this. So we either Despicable into tap Giant, or I think I would rather just play the Giant now.
Yeah, me too.
We just Giant, like, we set up to do that, and if you don't play the Giant now, we never get to play it.
Decent. Also, this way we kill the totem next turn. Guaranteed.
Manatide Hero Power.
Yeah, I like the
Isn't J-Close better than the Hero Power?
But then we have Overload for turn 6.
Yeah, but if we go Manatide, you force yourself into playing Aya. Is that good?
Well, we need to kill the guy, right?
You feel him 2-2 is doing much, that's my...
No, it's not.
It still lies to Hellfire, and...
Yeah, let's just Hero Power Manatide, it's fine. If they have, let's say, Hellfire, then we might have a hard time.
Yeah, we just have to. That's fine, Manatide Hero Power, yeah. They might even have to Hellfire it, so...
Dan, this is a weird game.
This is a little unusual in the sense that Shaman's usually not able to draw this many cards. And part of the reason why Warlock is so favored against Shaman is because Warlock has one card that can kill 3 or 4 of Shaman's cards, and they have access to Life Tap. So usually Shaman's out of cards, and they don't have to reach to end the game straight up.
Yeah, normally when I'm playing Warlock, I find myself just ignoring Mountain Giant in this matchup. Crane, though, has gotten somewhat clever here and has gone strictly for the Life Tap, forego development into the 8/8. So he delays the development, really, is what happens here. And that just yields G2 a lot of cards in hand. So I'm curious how much stronger this actually is, because if G2 is going to just draw cards, it means they get to scale into Abyssal Enforcer. You just make those cards right back. But is the pressure from the Mountain Giant enough to really keep G2 under wraps in the meantime? I'm not sure that it is.
Yeah, and there's a lot of times because Warlock doesn't have the ability to close out the game, really. Even if they get their opponent down to the the teens, you know, like 13 to 15, like how do they actually close it without actual board?
Right. You know, they can be teenage dirtbags all they want, but
I mean, this
I do like
damage
this
is
turn.
nice.
This
but,
turn's awesome.
all they're doing is setting up for Abyssal Enforcer, and Shaman can continue to reload after this because they're going to draw 2 more cards. They're drawing 3 cards a turn.
Well, again, though, the 8 to damage to face, and now it's represented as 13. This does require some attention. Devolve does technically work on the Mountain Giant here because it goes into the Shaman 11 cost Snow Fury Giant. And then it could technically go down to 10 from the second Devolve. And at the 10 slot, there are some fairly weak bodies. But an 8/8 is pretty comparable to the size of those. I'm actually curious where G2 finds footing in this spot. I do think, in hindsight, that this Mountain Giant play was brilliant.
I wonder.
Love watching the Masters at work.
You know, and I'm trying to like evaluate if G2, how does G2 fight back? Do they fight back reactively or proactively? Because they're setting up the Aya first, but the 13 power is very intimidating. Looks like they're going to play reactive Devolve to see what happens. Jade Lightning.
Yeah, I think that's a weak enough board for them to just go ahead and start slicing through it.
Right, but this does play directly into the Abyssal Enforcer, so they probably don't have to attack with this Jade Claws.
And I think that's why they're holding the second Devolve back, is they're thinking exactly about that. Use it anyway. Let's listen to CompLexity. I imagine it's Abyssal Enforcer.
I guess I had to against Tifa, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, we just Abyssal and smack him.
Yep.
Yeah,
Very gently.
for sure.
What happens if we go for towns? How risky is it? Like
you might
What are the
want to
options? Double taunt.
thing from below, right?
yeah, double thing from below, not towns from that. I mean, not doppel. Doppel is riskier, I think.
So hero power is for free because you discount too.
Yeah, then you have like 3 mana left. So how do you use that 3 mana? Just Jade Claws and Squire, I think, right?
Yep.
I guess so. Yeah, it's better than Crawler, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Taunt Totem, awesome. Let's go. 1/1 is really tricky.
Do I attack the face or?
Yeah, you should attack face.
Why?
Will not be face tanking anyway, and
Yeah, it might be nice. It might be nice pressure. Yeah. I don't like this 1/1 Totem, man. The freaking Defile.
I want to play Tainted Zealot, Shadow Bolt, and then it's a question of Drain Soul or Tar Creeper. Probably Tar Creeper.
Tar Creeper for sure, right?
Yeah, how do we trade? The 6/6 trades and then the 8/5 Ghost Face? I think I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Then we also set up Lethal, Abyssal, or Hellfire.
Yeah.
Only a fool rejects the Lich King.
So much damage from that Mountain Giant.
Oh boy. That is a Flame Tongue Totem.
I don't know if it pulls them through here. I mean, they really wanted to line up Doppelgangster Evolve, and I think they were hoping that this Snow Fury would have to trade over into that thing from below. And since that play got disrupted, G2 is in a heap of trouble.
So I guess you Flame Tongue to survive because you need to trade onto those board, and then you can go for what though? You only have 5 mana available. That one overload is really bad in that position.
A lot of this boiled down to honestly just not having Maelstrom Portal in this spot. You know, the double Mana Tide gave them a lot of cards, but it didn't give them a lot of time because of Crane's brilliant play with the Mountain Giant. And foregoing the development, I really cannot stress how strong that was.
I thought you were thinking like, whoa, you just kind of drained them of resources.
I thought it was weird.
It ends up being really good.
It was really good.
Let's see how this.
Ooh, Taunt Totem comes down, but there's Drain Soul in hand.
Right, yeah.
So G2's going to play around Mortal Coil with the trade-off here, hope that the Giant is committed to attacking into the taunt, and then try to recover, but it's not going to work.
That is going to be game 5 to Team CompLexity.
Gives them a 4-1 lead after this game. 2 games away from closing out this set. Last hero standing, the deck that wins stays on deck. The one that loses out of contention, first team to 6 wins takes the set.
And I think the webcams tell the entire story. CompLexity definitely feeling good about how everything is. Smiles all around, and you can see RDU kind of pinch his nose and kind of analyze the situation, furrow his brow a little bit, realizing that this is a very, very poor spot to be in right now.
I mean, could they have pressured and changed the game? Could they have done anything differently? And frankly, I don't think they had the option to. I think when they saw the clear board, they didn't think enough about Mountain Giant and how they could contest that adequately. It's very rare that CompLexity is going to float to a man in that situation and just have not a threat on the following turn. I mean, sure, they're strong against Despicable Dreadlord and such, but I don't think they thought about Mountain Giant there. And once again, that was just a brilliant play from Crane.
Yeah, and it makes sense because from a Warlock's perspective, if they're just clearing the board, Shaman can play resource efficient and extend the board just enough to force you to clear, but also hold back so they can keep reloading. Very similar to how Warrior plays against Shaman, or vice versa, where Warrior has access to Sleep with the Fishes, Whirlwinds, Brawls, and a Primordial Drake. And a lot of times Shaman felt like they had to extend to the board and just lose, but Shaman started playing very slowly, hero powering a lot, kind of playing the slow game. Instead, Crane says, I'm going to place a threat first, and I know because you're not playing Hex and you can't actually deal with this efficiently, I'm going to be able to leverage my board and utilize area effect to push damage every turn.
Yep, and I think that card right there tells some of the story. 11 cards played versus 14 from G2, and that was a decisive win for CompLexity in that game. Just a lot of their tools line up so powerfully, and the big one to note, 8-8 versus 0-3, 8-8 typically wins.
Typically, yes.
Yeah.
And G2 played the long game, right? Their hand count was so high. They had a lot of game left to play. They had Aya Blackpaw. They had Doppelgangster Revolve. They had a Flametongue Tome that they could have also milked more value off of, but they played more Survival Instinct. So by all means, if the game continued for like 5-6 more turns, I think Shaman could have pulled a victory there very easily the moment they rid Bloodlust. But Warlock played tempo, and that's something that we don't see very often. And that was something that was criticized of a lot of Control Warlock players in the past.
Ooh. Oh boy.
Oh, that is a Quest Mage. And we talk about one-sided matchups in the metagame. There's not too many extreme polarized matchups, but this is one of them.
How does Mage always get involved in these mix-ups, too? I mean, Freeze Mage versus Taunt Warrior, the Freeze Mage versus Zoo, the
Freeze Mage versus Druid in the last time we had Trinity Series.
Quest Mage versus Warlock, Quest Mage versus, like Priest comes to mind, even though Priest can be banned a lot. This is just a deck that really puts pressure on. Yeah. It's a deck that puts a lot of pressure on your opponent to bring tech options to the table. Now, G2 is going to have a tough time because CompLexity still has almost their full lineup ready to go. Warrior's been omit. Warrior is not functioning very well versus Quest Mage right now, unless it's a Dirty Rat style of Warrior.
You don't think Pirate Warrior puts enough pressure on Quest Mage?
I personally don't think so. And one of the reasons I don't think so is it's, again, sort of a feast or famine matchup. Losing the Fiery War Axe on, potentially turn 1 with Coin Fiery War Axe into Bloodsail Raider was one of the ways that you just got the most pressure. A lot of the Quest Mages have just simply cut Frostbolt at this point because it's not a necessary tool. All they want to do is, freeze the board, draw lots of cards, and then eventually quest you. Losing the 1-2 power play of Fiery War Axe into Bloodsail Raider, I think you lose, a pretty significant portion of your blowout win rate there.
Okay. I can see that. It's definitely not
I wouldn't consider
not as
Quest
bad
Mage
as it was
favored.
before, but I think Pirate Warrior is still severely favored.
It puts a big hurt on it. Honestly, one of the things that makes a big difference in that matchup, too, is just whether or not they run 1 or 2 Spellbreakers, or whether or not their draw involves Bittertide Hydra. If you have turn 5 Bittertide Hydra as the Pirate Warrior versus Quest Mage, that's a liability a lot of times. It's a 5-mana card that gets frozen for a couple turns in a row.
Yeah, and pinged a lot.
Yeah.
if there's novice engineers and stuff.
The big ones like Captain Greenskin, Naga Corsair, just anything to compound weapon damage.
Sure.
Or to shut off Doomsayer.
Look at how Warlock fights for tempo.
I like this play. They have to pressure. CompLexity, despite the fact that they're playing a more control-oriented deck, they're the ones who are under the clock here. G2 is just trying to assemble a combo. With Quest, they got to play 6 spells that were created within their deck. They cannot...
Outside of their deck.
Yeah, I'm sorry, outside of their deck. So, you think Babbling Book, you think Kabbalist Tome, Primordial Glyph. And then once they've assembled a pair of Sorcerer's Apprentices, a pair of ways to duplicate them in Archmage Antonidas, if they activate Quest that turn, it's infinite fireballs.
Well, yeah, and now that G2's seen the coin farce here, do they feel more comfortable playing Cold Light because they're not playing as much into stuff?
Very surprised by the Ice Barrier, but let's listen to CompLexity and see what they think about this.
I can put 1 damage. I would rather tap now, though.
Yeah, I think the 1 damage doesn't do much. We need something that deals more damage than just 1 every turn.
Yeah, I want to try to find a 4-drop, yeah.
Yep.
Want a Core Light, because then they can Giant.
Yeah, but passing turn is like, we have to play our own game too, right?
So just we can Doomsayer.
Doomsayer, hero power.
Then we lose the possibility to have an answer to Giant with Frozen Nova Doomsayer.
Yeah, but they always have Spellbreaker, Siving Soul. Like, it doesn't even matter. What matters is the freeze.
Yeah.
The remove doesn't matter.
So that's like one of the best turns to play it because we just cancel out the best turn. And then we also force them to tap, and if they tap, we can get a good Core Light value. It is by far the best turn to Doomsayer.
Whatever. Do they even run that? I don't think. You think you run like the Cold Light?
Actually, not always, right?
Yeah.
I actually don't hate tap and Gen next turn because we save a 3-2 and a 1-3 this turn, and then we develop nothing next turn.
Yeah, we should go face. We also get 4 more damage to his face, in right?
Yeah, okay, I'm tapping here.
Yeah.
And I don't even wanna. I just pass.
Yeah.
Even if he plays Oracle and overdraws his card, or what it's called, Cold Light Oracle, I don't care.
Yeah.
I'll keep it for next turn. I think it's better to cover.
We're gonna face a Giant or a Drake here. Like, is it not that Kabbalist Tome works really well at the end of the game with like an apprentice anyway?
It works. It works well now. It gives us options, and you can Core Light better next turn. I think it's way better Core Light.
Okay.
Maybe we even get an answer to a Giant, right?
Sure.
Yeah. We have Bear too. Ooh, Vaporize.
That's not bad.
So G2 was setting up this elaborate play of, I play Doomsayer on 4 because I want to disrupt his turn 4, and then I can maybe set them up to tap and then Cold Light overdraw them. And then CompLexity said, yeah, if they Cold Light draw, because they made the hand read there, I don't care as much because I care about generating threats like this Mountain Giant. And G2 thinks, well, I'd rather get the mana efficiency out. So there's a lot of like high-level response analysis, but most importantly, discussion that really leads them to these conclusions.
And you heard them say it. Maybe we find an answer to Mountain Giant.
And they got that Vaporize, which is so funny because you don't think about Vaporize as an answer,
nor
will CompLexity play around that.
And their curve is perfect here for it too. Cold Light into the Vaporize. Like this just like could not have been better for G2. And honestly, you and I were discussing it. We liked the Cold Light rather than the Kabbalist Tome because we thought one of the goals was to pair the Kabbalist Tome alongside the Sorcerer's Apprentices, get big discounts on all those cards that are happening. But here, it just lined up so well. Quest Mage, albeit very powerful in certain matchups, is still very difficult to play well.
Yeah, very difficult, largely because there's so many variants to account for. There's a lot of range of spells that you can get off Primordial Glyph, off of the Kabbalist Tomes, even the Babbling Book. Whoa. I was thinking Vaporize here to kind of just get off pressure, because the number one thing you want as Quest Mage is turns or time. And Vaporize buys you the most. I think what they're doing is stalling. They make it look like the secret was kind of awkward. Yeah, like maybe it's got an ice barrier. Yeah, you're reading my mind, Honorable. Good stuff. And I think that's exactly what it is. And I kind of wish we could listen to the team so we can hear that as well.
Well, I mean, I know what you're thinking too. Is that they had the Cold Light on 5. They wanted to go for the Vaporize here off the Kabbalist Tome on turn 6. They're delaying it. Do they want a Babbling Book? Do they want a Primordial Glyph?
Right.
There's so many different factors to account for to use all that mana. But how do they actually get this done properly?
I'm going to stop right there and listen in immediately, as you can see the despair going across Crane's face.
Attack Rebel and Zealot Coil. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Easy draw, right? With intellect.
We can overdraw. I mean, if you intellect and you... I know, we can play some other
Then we
cards.
play Counterspell and
Yeah.
Glyph. I mean, Glyph.
But we have to draw, so let's draw.
You want to draw here.
Why not into... No, never mind.
Now you just
I think-
you go Babbling Book Counterspell here.
Yeah, you go Bubbling Book Counterspell.
If they don't give an Ice Block, like an Ice Block will be also... that's
Can
better.
I play this?
Wait, is it
Yeah.
better?
Yeah,
What-
it's better. But they don't.
Yeah.
They're not gonna play a spell. It's much better. It's
Yeah.
insane, man. It's freaking good.
Yeah. They also want to play a B-Minion to pressure us.
Yeah, it's like super good.
We don't really have much pressure.
I guess we mod coil first. See what we get.
Yep.
Rip a face first, right? See what secret it is.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. You could think about playing a coil spell, but
Nah,
I just want
no, you can't actually.
we just don't
Yeah.
play around anything.
Okay, so it could still be Mirror Entity, right?
Yeah, at this point...
I can play.
Do we tap first?
Yes,
I want to play the
tap.
Zealot. I don't even care if it's Mirror Entity, right? Change.
Yeah, just play the guy.
Do we tap first?
We tap.
Yeah.
Only a fool rejects the Lich King.
Sure.
It's quite decent.
Start with Glyph.
Yeah, start with the Glyph.
Keep in mind we have 10 cards. We have 10 cards, so we cannot do the quest. We shouldn't do the quest. Intellect.
What is
And
it?
if we take intellect, we can go Ice Block plus Explosion plus intellect.
Yeah,
Mhm.
intellect every time.
So I have to play Ice Block
Ice
first,
Block. Yeah.
or Explosion. Maybe
It doesn't
Explosion because it's cheaper.
Yeah, you get one.
Yeah, sure. Maybe there's reason to play a random secret again to make it annoying for them. That's what I'm thinking.
You want to play counter spell?
Yeah, I'm thinking. Do you feel that it's...
Time runs out.
I
Next
mean, it
turn
can be annoying for them.
Next turn we can go for start to freeze the board, right? So this turn we don't need to play Ice Block in this case. We're getting to 5-6. Yeah, Counterspell seems good.
Okay.
It's just annoying for them.
We have 9 cards, so watch out on the quest because one.
Yeah. I will.
All right, well, I think this game is inevitably a G2 victory here. I'm looking at the pieces, and G2 can even make a run even with the cards in hand. You don't actually need infinite damage with Antonidas and Sorcerer's Apprentice. Sometimes you can just get there with a couple of fireballs and just Sorcerer's Apprentice pushing damage
That's
too.
right. If you have Ice Block down, you almost always have that extra turn. So you get to take your extra turn. You have 3 Sorcerer's Apprentices down. I mean,
Still 18 damage
oftentimes
to fireballs
it's-
plus the Sorcerer's Apprentice attacking.
Right. Plus, you also get just extra fireballs for the turn after. So they pop your Ice Block, you just launch a couple more fireballs.
Right.
There's a lot of ways to get there on damage without going infinite. The goal is to go infinite, but in some matchups you don't necessarily need that, and Warlock is definitely one of them.
You've actually seen people miss lethal because of that. They feel like they need to go infinite. They forget that they had the lethal the turn before. Their opponent actually pops their ice block. They're no longer safe as much, you know,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
This one, though, Complexity's pretty dead in the water. G2 just had so much time.
Yeah.
Ooh, mama.
That's 3 apprentices in a quest. Actually, I think is that the ability to go to win right now?
Well, they have to complete quest still.
Right, and they have Mortal Cliff. Well, this just guarantees it, I guess, by doing this. There's no need to rush it unless you can 100% guarantee it. I'm just trying to see if they have lethal this turn.
Yeah, they don't have lethal this turn. But you know, I think a good thing to illustrate here is to exercise patience with combo decks. Figure out when you need to really push yourself and when you can afford to just simply wait. I mean, sometimes, yeah, you'll run into an extra tech card here or there because you gave your opponent the extra turns, but being patient with combo decks is one of the most important things about playing them. I see players just, you know, waste spells often or use too much, just not take enough damage. Combo decks are tricky to play, and they require a lot of experience. As you're learning them, you will lose a lot of games, but that's part of the learning process. Once you get it down, you'll start winning a lot too.
I did the math, and it is possible. I didn't do all the math. It is a very strong possibility that they find lethal, though, because they play Sorcerer's Apprentices, and they can play Primordial for free, find a very cheap spell, activate it, and play the quest, and push for it. But
yeah,
their time is on their side.
If they were under pressure, they didn't have ice blocks, they're under threat of dying.
It's a Hail Mary.
That's when you Hail Mary. And again, that's just part of the experience of playing the deck. You'll build that as you go along, but for now, they're safe to just take their time. Still 2 more freeze effects.
Yeah. They
Still
can
plenty card draw.
Glyph now to finish the quest. Lo and behold.
Volcanic Potion, probably the card to do it with as well. The Mana Bind can potentially fill up their hand too much. The Pyroblast obviously is a lot of mana and damage that is unnecessary. But it's pretty safe for them to complete the quest here and then make sure that it cannot get burned because they have, say, their last random card as being a card draw card.
Yep. And as long as they also have a cheaper spell, they have the ability to activate the Antonidas to get a quest, to get a Fireball. I have seen people complete the quest, set up the Sorcerer's Apprentice, Archmage Antonidas, and then not have a spell to play, and realize that they only can push for 4 or 12 damage. And you're like, oh my god, I've made a terrible mistake.
My favorite is when the deck has to get just super scrappy, and you have to just like play Sorcerer's Apprentice, and you're like, man, I hope this doesn't die.
Yeah, or when the deck gets really scrappy, where like you play Sorcerer's Apprentice, you Cabalist Tome, and your quest is like 1 out of 6, and you're like, oh my god, I really have to finish this. It's times like that when it gets really fun.
Did they not freeze here?
They don't need to freeze.
Wow.
I think it doesn't truly matter, no matter what they do.
I just want the hand space.
I think they value the card draw to get their other Sorcerer's Apprentice.
They got a lot of that.
And I think they also have to account for the fact that they haven't seen all 30 cards from Warlock. So in this very weird world where like Dirty Rats come out, they have to increase the amount of possibilities that they like account for a terrible disastrous thing happening.
You know, that's
where,
a good point. They actually just made not Cold Light to give them that Dirty Rat protection.
Which is something to also consider, like maybe even thinking about Pyroblast as a pickup, because they did have a Frost Nova and Freeze. So if they're able to piece together damage, say you lose all your Sorcerer's Apprentice, you only have Antonidas to pick up Fireballs, or vice versa. You only can get damage in through Sorcerer's Apprentice because you lose your Antonidas.
Now let's listen to G2 and hear how they want to close out this game as it's coming near.
Yeah, I guess.
That's great.
Now we can play Freezing Potion plus Frost Nova plus Colite Oracle and not overdraw.
Yeah, start with the Freezing Potion, then Cold Light. You can get something better. No, on the 6/6, on the 6/6.
Oh, whatever. We freeze anyways.
No, maybe not. Yeah, okay, it's fine.
Come on, you freeze anyways. We want to get rid of the Sork so we can Simulacrum.
You mean of the
Novice Engineer?
The Novice, sorry, yeah.
Then you want to play Frost Nova and Novice this turn anyway, right?
I don't know, maybe you want to go Blizzard now and then do next turn Novice plus Simulacrum plus other things. I think that's good.
I think you can go Nova now this turn, maybe. Yeah, Blizzard is fine too. Sure, let's take our time.
Spellbreaker and Secret Eater is 8 mana. It's not enough damage. Yeah, that's... For 2 mana they can't really do much. But we have to...
All right, so I think we did the math on this one, and I believe G2 had an opportunity to close out the game this turn with a guaranteed lethal setup with Time War.
Yes, and it's fairly complicated, and so I'll take it slow, but bear with me. They had 10 mana total that turn. They play Sorcerer's Apprentice. They fall to 8 mana.
Okay.
Molten Reflection then is discounted to 3 mana. So they play that, they drop to 5, there's now 2 Sorcerer's Apprentices in play. With that 5 mana remaining, the second Molten Reflection costs 2 mana then. So they play that, they drop to 3 mana with 3 Sorcerer's Apprentices in play. Time Warp is now reduced to 2 mana. So they spend 2 of their remaining 3 with 1 left, they take an extra turn.
Okay, so
with that
9
extra turn,
mana spent.
9 mana spent.
3 Sorcerer's Apprentice on the board.
With that extra turn, they go back to 10, they spend 7 of it and drop to 3 mana, play Archmage Antonidas. With 3 Sorcerer's Apprentices on board, that Frost Nova on the far left will cost 0 mana. So they drop to 3 mana still, play Frost Nova, get a Fireball from Archmage Antonidas. They then spend the first Fireball, which costs 1 mana due to the 3 discounts. They drop to 2 and deal 6 damage. Then they drop to 1 mana and deal 6 more damage. Then they drop to 0 mana and deal 6 more damage. 18 damage, perfect mana usage. They missed lethal that turn.
Yeah, their opponent was at 17. Not to mention they also had Sorcerer Apprentice that can attack, so they had 24 damage capability because one of them would go into the Void Walker.
You're seeing how difficult this is.
It's complicated.
They have tunnel visioned on the idea of going infinite, and it likely will not
missed
matter.
it again this turn.
It likely will not matter in this game. But the thing about it is, this is the situation where if your opponent had tech cards, you gave them a turn to draw them.
Right. If there was Dirty Rats being there, it's like, well, then they just pull out your stuff, and now you have to win in alternative ways.
Let's go ahead and listen to CompLexity, see if they have hopes at all.
At 7.
Yep.
Never come back from this.
No.
Actually, it was lethal even without it, right? You have enough mana to Simulacrum and do all the things you want.
Just do it now, man. Just do it.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, you had enough mana.
Yeah, but you need a spell. That was what worries me a little. Like, you know that we only had 1 spell now at the end.
Hmm?
You only had 1 spell now for the Antonidas.
if we played-
That worried me.
They would have to draw a spell right now.
Yeah, cute thing, Radu. Easy.
Never mind.
Easy.
I mean, every
you
card,
even win on board, Ben.
any card we would have drawn, it was fine.
Aha.
Your favorite card, right?
Not deckhand is better.
And you heard RDU say it right at the end. Wait a minute. We still had... You know, RDU, I've spoken so much with him about Hearthstone, and he thinks one of his major strengths is learning a deck very quickly. I imagine his amount of practice with this deck is probably under 10 total games prior to this.
No way.
And I'm telling you, this guy plays aggro all the time. He loves it. You see his face right now. He's going through all of these motions and figuring out this deck as they're playing it. How often can you be prepared for 9 decks coming into a tournament?
True.
Man?
Well, that's why you split it up. You say, I'm going to take these 2. Well, what's funny is Mardu's piloting as well, as opposed to Tice, who loves to play combo decks, loves to play control stuff. But it's also a team effort, too. So even if you're piloting it, your teammate could specialize in that specific archetype or that deck and then bring their experience and knowledge to it. And, you know, we've been kind of alluding to it all throughout the game. That is one of the most lopsided matchups that currently exists in Hearthstone, which is a controlled defensive Warlock against a Quest Mage. How does CompLexity answer this with what remains in their repertoire?
Well, aggression is really one of the big keys that exists here. And I'm taking a look at that little Rexar guy under Mr. Yagut's portrait there. He will be piloting Rexar despite the team efforts here.
And I think that was what G2 was really concerned about. We thought, like, why would you hold Shaman for so long as Paladins? Because they need a way to commandingly answer Hunter. And
Quest Mage, Rogue.
Hunter doesn't lose to much these days. They go even or better against most things in the meta. And one of them that they do lose, one of the classes that they do lose up against most of the time is Shaman.
Yeah. And here I'm even wondering, Tyler's Druid deck, how is it built? You know, I talked about it earlier. Zalay tweeted out a deck list where he was running 2 copies of Dirty Rat in his Jade Druid list. And the point of that card is quite literally to put hurt on to Quest Mage. If you pull out a Sorcerer's Apprentice, if you pull out Archmage Antonidas and you're able to kill it that turn, a lot of times that can just cripple their ability to combo.
Yeah, I think the stats say it all: spells and damage done by spells. And of course, that number 27 had possibilities to hit the hundreds if you let the quest mage do its thing.
I think you have to have like 282 armor to survive the time limit.
Oh yeah, I actually saw that one time. I believe Dog was streaming, and he had so much armor as warrior that mage couldn't fireball enough, and because they didn't have another ice block to follow up on, they just died the following turn.
Yeah,
It's
possible. It's just virtually impossible for most decks.
Yeah, practically speaking, it's not feasible to go for an armor strategy, but infinite life does technically beat infinite damage.
Yeah.
In Hearthstone, because you have a turn limit.
You play a lot of armor smiths, you play a lot of faceless manipulators, you play a lot of whirlwinds. Bam! You'll get to the armor in no time. Just dead man's hand it all.
Ooh, Yagut setting up the cam, kind of recognizing that it's a little tilted there. And the CompLexity shouldn't have to worry too much here. I think they've got a fantastic matchup.
Those aren't all Hearthstone trophies. There's no way.
Ouch. Shots fired.
Well, he's only been playing tournaments for about like a year now.
That's true. He was primarily well, actually, that's not necessarily true. Mr. Yagut actually first appearance onto the public scene of Hearthstone was in 2014 at the Europe Championships. He got 5th, I believe, top 8.
Oh, I do remember that. He was
playing the weirdest hunter deck, by the way. He was playing Azure Drake with multi-shot and a bunch of crazy tech, and he got 5th. He got top 8. He lost 1 round out from going to BlizzCon that year.
It's just the third-party tournaments was really the thing that Mr. Yagut worked so hard to get into. And we're talking, this guy streamed hours and hours every single week. He worked super hard to prove that he was worthy enough for a spot on a premier team.
Yeah.
And since he's been on CompLexity, he has been on an absolute tear. But I'm telling it right now, those are probably chess trophies or something in the back.
Probably.
Chess is really hard.
Chess is really hard. CompLexity, by the way, starts out with Crackling Razormaw and Firefly. That's not going to give him any beast synergy right off the bat, and maybe that gives G2 some time to recuperate. And also keep in mind something, that Mage has access to the coin, and that is a really big deal if they're going to win this game.
Yeah, having the coin activate part of Open the Waygate is such a big difference. But the biggest difference I'm looking at is the Doomsayer. So Crackling Razormaw's played right into this. They do have to respect Kill Command and Eaglehorn Bow, but I don't think they have much of an option here. Is CompLexity going to rip an animal companion if they see this Doomsayer? That's what I'm wondering.
Yeah, because there's only one outcome that's good, and that is Huffer. Leok's not good enough with 4 attack on the board. This is the pivotal moment of the game. Can the Hunter deal with this Doomsayer?
Oh, brother.
The upside of it is super high. You keep a big board.
What do you really lose? You lose 2 damage from your hero power. It's an opportunity cost.
It's true.
Let's hear CompLexity.
Yeah, the question is how valuable. We also missed like 2 from a hero power if we go for animal miss.
I kind of just want to smoke.
Yeah, me too. It's probably not worth it to go animal companion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of like maybe double Novice.
Yeah, double Novice seems okay. Otherwise,
I like it though.
Primordial Glyph first and then coin.
Nah, there's nothing. You don't want to know what you want to glyph for yet. Like, it's too hard pick also.
Arcanologist.
Okay, that's awesome. Better. Okay.
Getting there. That's also good.
I mean, this is okay. Barry is not bad.
So just companion 1-drop, right? Next time we can alley cat Houndmaster.
So which 1-drop do we play then? Probably alley cat, right?
Let's play the animal companion, see what we get.
Yeah.
Alley cat?
If we play alley cat, is there a chance they clear? No, right? So we always get companion off.
I'll play alley cat so we can charge the Houndmaster.
Yeah, I think it's alley cat.
Yep.
Like you suck, by the way.
All right, so a lot happened here, despite the fact that it looks relatively simple, and Admirable was getting worked up while watching some of those plays. So why don't you go ahead and break down for me what you thought of Complexity and how they handled that Doomsayer?
I'm telling you, Dan, smorking is my thing, and I know how to do it. I've been doing it for decades now. If they play that Animal Companion on turn 3, 33% of the time they get Misha. It's a horrible outcome. That's the worst one you can get. 33% of the time they get Huffer. They get to push a point of damage, they get to kill Doomsayer, and they have a ton of power on board. 33% of the time they get Leok. And they talked about the opportunity cost of the hero power, but Leok buffs your guys by 2, so if you're going to smork because your board's going to die, you just push 6 damage. You get that 2 damage back 33% of the time. Yeah. So in 67% of your outcomes, you end up even or favorable, versus 33%, you end up behind. But what is a second Animal Companion really worth? Especially if you consider...
When you have Hyman in the hand and your curve's going to play out.
And especially when you consider that in the future instances, 67% of your rolls are often going to end up not favorable. They're going to be Misha or they're going to be Leok, and you're not going to be able to get damage from them.
But perhaps they feel like their odds are winning are greater than 33 or 67% of the time if they make that play, because you're not necessarily weighing the decision of 50-50 that moment. You're weighing, do I give my opponent 33% of the time to win when if I play this, I actually win more than that?
If they're winning more than 67% of the time with a hero power there, I'd be shocked.
It's hard to say. I mean, this is an 80-20 matchup on paper, so a lot of the plays should favor an 80-20 split.
I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that the deck is just naturally good versus Quest Mage. I don't think that not playing Animal Companion there is going to necessarily cost them this game, but I think they missed an opportunity to potentially just blow out the win by rolling a Huffer in that spot and just having G2 go, well, now what?
What to do? What to do?
G2's got freezes. They have a pretty powerful play by polymorphing and setting up Ice Barrier. But that does mean Polymorph's not available for the high main. However, I like playing optimistically here. Plus, this Ice Barrier, by the way, is really crucial for giving Mage life. A lot of times people think about Ice Block to gain turns, but Ice Barrier gives them a way to have resistance against the steady shot coming out from Hunter every turn.
Right. It also alleviates the pressure of getting your Ice Block popped, which is where you start to get in the most trouble. Let's listen to G2 and hear what they think of these upcoming turns, because they're under pressure.
Like, we can take 6.
Can't play Kabbalistone, that's the problem.
Nah, I think we can. I think we can.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah.
Do you?
Go for Glyph?
You don't like Kabbalist Stomp here?
No, no. I like Glyph, I like Glyph, I like Glyph.
Okay.
Another Glyph, or do we take the Shatter ever? No, I think we take another Glyph.
Take these Glyphs, man. They are sick.
Do the quest. Polymorph. Woo!
Nice.
Polymorph, right?
That's better than Kabbalist, yes.
Yeah, of course, we kill Savannah.
Yeah. Oh my god. One more to go, man.
Okay then.
Okay, Companion.
We just play everything?
Yeah. At least force them to have the Blizzard.
I guess we can keep one Elemental.
No, why?
Nah. It doesn't do anything.
No.
I think you just play them.
Well, he might Blizzard. I think we can keep one.
Like, if they Blizzard, then next turn you have an extra 1 too. I don't like keeping it.
At all.
Crane?
I don't like keeping it at all.
Okay.
Oh my god, these portal loggers, holy moly.
Think we tome. Should we book first ever, or do we just tome?
Well, wait. If we ping the 1-1...
Oh, we don't ping the 1-1, I think.
Yeah, we don't ping the 1-1.
Depends on the damage. 3. This is 8, 10 damage. 15. Okay, never mind. Well, they can have 20, 22 maximum.
Like, what, are there 2 mana spells?
There is also
it makes, no difference. It makes no difference if we ping, so don't go for the ping.
I would go book first, because we can get a secret, and then Secret Nova is also really good.
Book like Kabbalist Tome or Babbling?
Babbling. Oh, sorry.
Okay. They're both
I mean,
books.
one is book, other one is tome. So
Simulacrum.
fantastic.
Okay.
Do we
If we
go
do a
Tome
sword,
here?
we win. Yeah, we go Tome, I think.
Yeah.
Is it too greedy? We could also Nova, and then like Nova Tome next turn.
Yeah, maybe that's better. That's what I'm thinking. I'm not sure how greedy we have to be now.
Okay, go for Frost Nova because we can still draw our blizzards.
Ping the 1/1, I guess.
It's so bad, man.
Yeah, you can go Tome if you feel it, man.
It's very close.
Still need Antonidas though.
I feel like 8 damage is a lot to take. Then
Man, Dan and I are in a heated debate
Yeah,
about
we're
how to play
debating
this
more
quest
than
mage.
G2 is, because I say I love the play with Primordial Glyph, not because it just landed the polymorph, but because you don't want to take that damage. If you're working with 13 or less life, because I'm assuming that they're 8 health down, Hunter all of a sudden doesn't have to play in a specific way anymore where they build the board. They can play damage centric. Instead of playing high main, they would hero power plus like Animal Companion. That's not what the turns end up being, but that's an example of how they can shift their game plan. And all of a sudden, as mage, you draw with Cabala's Tome. It's like, well, that's great, but you don't actually have a way to win because you don't have that life total to play with.
Now, I'm looking at the failure rate side, where you don't hit the good Primordial Glyph. You have to burn a Frost Nova, and then suddenly, where does the Cabala's Tome ever get cast? You'd be casting on this turn 8. You still wouldn't have a Frost Nova at this point, and you would still be facing down a high main. I say you tank the high main, you rip the Cabala's Tome, you look for heavy card draw, and try to freeze them out of the game and find your win condition. Both plans, I think, are very good. That's what makes this deck so awesome to watch, is that there's just a million things to do.
Look what they picked up, by the way. They picked up a lot of area effect cards that can also go with each other. They have Volcanic Potion and Meteor. So that will full clear everything, which does give G2 effectively another turn.
Here's the thing. Primordial Glyph, I haven't done the math on it specifically, but if they get Freezing Potion, if they get Frost Nova, if they get Blizzard, if they get Frost Bolt, if they get Polymorph, if they get Fireball, if they get Ice Barrier, there's a lot of options that are very strong off the Glyph that help them get to this position where they're able to Frost Nova and Cabala's Tome. And that's one of the big benefits to using Primordial Glyph. My question is that risk worth it when it fails? Because when it fails, you are in really bad shape.
Well, they just Frost Nova there and then ping. And then they'd be down a freeze, but they have
Here they wouldn't have had the freeze for it though. Because
here they wouldn't have the freeze for it, but the situation would be different because they would have a different spell for Primordial Glyph.
Yeah, let's listen to G2 because, I mean, you can imagine what they're thinking.
So, an answer.
Come on, Sork. Where are you hiding at?
It'll come. We have time.
Yeah, we cannot kill that now.
See?
Wow. Yeah, but that's fine.
It doesn't matter anyway.
Okay, that's good.
We don't need to Blizzard necessarily.
Well, we don't want to.
Okay, yeah, we should Blizzard. We should Blizzard.
Blizzard into Ice Block.
Yeah, Blizzard.
Yeah.
I think that's good.
But now we're missing that 1 damage.
Who cares? Why do you care so much about that 1 damage, Lothar?
Man, if they deadly shot that, I'm happy. Like,
yeah. Come on, bro.
Yeah.
And get him for 4. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Positioning to the left. Yeah. Right, to the left.
Your magic shall not save.
Yeah, we're a bit too slow, I feel like.
So volcanic explosion ping.
Yeah, right. That's hard. You can consider Meteor maybe because it's so expensive, but
No, but Meteor is for Hydra. I think that's good. Nah, I would volcanic explosion ping. I think.
yeah, I bought to it too. Just do that. Get the quest completed.
What to do? What to do?
Okay. We have also draw cards, man. We still have double intellect. Come on, like.
Well, with Hydra, actually, we should think about just killing him just by pinging Hydra and just, freezing it. It's not possible.
No.
We don't have to get Antonidas to kill him. If we get one source...
Sam said right.
Yeah.
Oh, this...
Okay, nice.
Okay, that's great.
Let's
So
go.
let's draw.
Ah.
Call
I mean,
Light
it's
also
likely
keeps
they
the
have
card.
kill command. Yeah, but do they have kill command? It kind of is likely.
We have 10 cards left. We have the quest. So if we get to Sorcerer's Apprentice next turn, we win the game, right? Almost.
Not necessarily.
I mean, we also have an ice block, so we can just wait one turn to also get a second ice block.
Maybe Tom is good, but we have to play the one card that we get. Otherwise, we overdraw.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Frostbolt is good, but the same goes for.
Isn't Call Light good? I don't know.
Maybe, yeah, maybe it's Cold
I
Light
would
here.
play the Cold Light.
What to do? What to do? Someone's out on me.
Ooh,
Okay,
we do the
now
sword.
we
No,
play
we cannot simulacrum. We work chronologist and we find the block. We win, right? Yeah.
Go
And now, yeah. Now we should win.
Just don't flare.
Yeah. Just no flare and no Eater of Secrets. They don't play that in Hunter. Because then, and not draw minion. If we draw like Doomsayer, that's so bad.
Right?
Yes.
Because you could be barrier still. Could it?
No, but we put him to 1, and we have Steady Shot.
We probably kill something with weapon 2, right?
Yeah, but you just lead with the cat and kill command phase, right?
Yep. I was thinking about this Stalker Rexa because they might just saucy and try to kill us like that.
No, then we don't have the hero power.
Yeah. Then Ice Barrel is problem.
Yeah. We
They
don't
use
want to
the
give
barrier,
up.
but they can RNG flip
Yeah.
1, I guess.
We don't want to give up the hero power.
We play the bow as well, so right?
Just proc first.
Yeah, we should, because we might just Rex the next turn.
It's not like they have ooze.
We definitely shouldn't commit to Sork yet.
Oh.
That's good. That's fine.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah. Just Simulacrum block, right?
Simulacrum block, yeah.
We don't have lethal yet here. No.
No, you don't have mana to play everything, but now we do next turn. Yeah, it's a game if they don't have something stupid, like Eater of Secrets or Flare.
We could think about Rexa, maybe that saves us somehow. Like, we can still tracking into kill command or something, if you really need it.
Yeah, so you're tracking first, right?
Power Rexa, then hero power.
Wait, we might hero power here and 2 Rexa and 2 hero power again.
Do we really want a Rexor though? 5 armor doesn't save us.
Well, against 3 saucies it might. Against 3 saucies it might help us. Against 4 it obviously doesn't.
Do it.
Okay, just do it. Your call.
Steward?
Yeah, just take whatever.
Cool. And we are probably dead, so.
Should I make 5 sorceresses? Doesn't even matter.
Just keep one spell. That's the only thing I care about.
We don't have Cobblestone, so.
Yeah. Nice.
Oh, 6th one.
What?
Nah, just go. Just end this game, man. Oh, how How can you, Radu? How can you do that?
Cat killer.
A little bit of an overkill.
Aww.
Okay.
Oh, yeah,
Meteor, the cute cat.
I'm a little cat just hanging out.
This is the face of a stone cold killer
Man,
from Romania.
that is just such an important win for G2.
Huge.
I really can't stress out. I mean, this is like the Paladin beating the Warlock from CompLexity's side. They overcame a massively unfavored matchup, and now the series is at 4-3 in favor of CompLexity. And remember, it's the first team to 6 wins that takes the set. And in last hero standing, when your deck wins, it stays on deck. When your deck loses, it's out of contention. So that for G2, super important.
Yeah, and we're trying to do some math here, at least on our side, about some of the potential outcomes from the Primordial Glyph. And it turns out there's a handful of things. About a fourth of the options are immediately good with freeze, where you have, like you mentioned, there's Frost Novas, there's Breath of Sindragosa, there's Ice Barrier, Ice Block, Blizzard, Cone of Cold, etc., and a bunch of stuff. So in retrospect, a lot of these decisions making that might look really small, of just like, well, is it A or B? There's a lot of probability and percentages that go into it. And at that point, if they have a 50% chance of discovering something that immediately helps them extend the board length, that is much better than your odds of normally winning the game, because the matchup is so bad against Hunter usually.
Yeah, I mean, I'm certain there's folks at home going like, oh, why wouldn't you Primordial Glyph there? Well,
right.
There's a lot of math behind it is why. And the instinct, I think, was what was taking over for G2 in that situation, and their instinct was spot on. I think enough of their outcomes from Primordial Glyph are more favorable than tanking the damage and playing Kabbalah Stone.
Yeah.
So in hindsight, I'm now a believer. I would Primordial Glyph there every time.
I mean, there's 37 spells currently in the Mage Arsenal, and if about a fourth of them, let's say like 8 or 9, that's 75% of the time it doesn't happen across 3. It actually is very favorable odds if you start calculating out the binomial distribution.
That's right.
There.
And clearly at the end, CompLexity did not have any anti-secret tech in their Hunter deck, or they would have ripped tracking immediately. The fact that they didn't play
That's
tracking
true too.
lets you know that there was no secret hate in there. They were relying on the natural strength of the matchup.
Oh man, I wonder if that's going to be the evolution of Trinity Series as time goes on, because of the fact that people might be bringing Mage once again as that sniper deck. We've seen Freeze Mage make appearance back when last time we saw in Trinity Series. We do want to remind you that the previous season was played in the Mean Streets meta as opposed to Ungoro. So a lot of evolution has happened between back then and now. But will it ultimately be the same? Will Mage be more of a deck to watch out because it can snipe really powerful decks, and you have to tech against it? You have to have a deck that's prepared to kill Mage.
And Mage, once again, is one of the decks that has a multi-dynamic to it. There's Tempo Mage, there's Freeze Mage, there's Quest Mage. There's a lot of different directions that you can go with it. Plus, there's just like the Gunther-style Discover, like pseudo-burn, pseudo-freeze control mage.
I mean, there's control mages that just rely on Frostwitch Jaina and outvaluing their opponents too.
Right.
Very similar to how Warrior doesn't really have a direct win condition, except just continue to value over time and then be able to find a way, a game plan for victory.
Yeah. Depending on how you anticipate your opponent's teching choices to beat that specific class could really influence how you bring a deck to compete with it. You know, last season we saw Luminosity, they were the first ones to really adopt Tempo Mage and bring it over and over and over again. And just time after time, we saw them play Mana Worm and then play some more minions up the curve and then just hit Firelands portals in a row, and those were enough to give them game-winning gas.
Well, I think that's also why it's interesting that Warrior's not being brought this week, because Warrior is one of the most powerful decks in Last Hero Standing, in my opinion, because it's so good at sniping things and the way it can polarize matchups. Warrior's a lot like Priest in the sense that it has a complete defensive arsenal that it can use at its whim to specifically snipe specific decks and target archetypes.
Yeah.
It's got great ways of sweeping wide aggro boards or really good powerful single target removal, and you can also outfit it with specific tech like Dirty Rats, and it doesn't compromise the integrity of the deck. Versus you put Dirty Rats in other decks, you're like, is that going to be good? But Warrior can benefit off of it a lot. They have brawls, they have other ways to really capitalize on it.
But the question really for me is, how did Fiery War Axe really impact a Warrior's mana curve, where now it competes with Mountain Fire armor, it competes with Stonehill Defender at times, it competes with Shield Block even if you just need to cycle it. So pretty tough to say, but CompLexity, Jade Druid is now on deck, and that's an Eater of Secrets.
Where was this last game? I mean, Hunter, granted, doesn't need Eater of Secrets to win, and I think a lot of things have to go right. For one, CompLexity needs to let that Doomsayer go off.
Well, something
And
to
the
keep
second
a
is,
note.
of course, is G2 had to get really good results with the promoting glove.
Paladin is G2's last remaining deck. So there's a chance that CompLexity just didn't want the Hunter to go into Paladin. That's sort of a dead matchup, but Hunter into Mage, that's a favorable one.
Yeah, that's Hunter's best remaining matchup.
That's last hero standing for you. I mean, there's so many little things to think about where sometimes you will queue into a matchup that isn't as strong because its matchup versus other things is way weaker.
Another really nice outcome here for G2. They're on the coin again. And they had babbling books to fill out their early curve. They're not just passing.
And notice the not playing quest here on turn 1. That's a very important thing to note because their goal isn't to just blaze to the completion of quest early in the game. It's simply to keep themselves from taking a lot of damage.
Draw a lot.
Yeah, draw a lot of cards, don't take a lot of damage. Eventually you combo.
Tyler hit with this Jade Blossom, but doesn't have a very good turn 5. G2 has Arcane Intellect primed and ready to go. And they're hitting more card draw. This is what Quest Mage needs in order to continue to make the comeback here. And Jade Druid is a matchup that I think a lot of people talk about, and they said, Quest Mage kills the Jade Druid. That's what people use to target Jade Druid primarily. However, a lot of Jade Druid enthusiasts say that they feel like the matchup's reasonable, and if you put in Eater Secrets, that might even make it favored.
Eater Secrets and Dirty Rat are two of the cards I think that can make it favored. If you ask me, Quest Mage destroys Jade Druid if they don't have tech cards for it. I've heard so many folks disagree with me on this, and I'll argue with them till the days are done. I mean, you listen to G2, hear what they're thinking. They're favored in this game.
No, we don't want it.
Play it at turn 9, and they are scared of Ultimate Infestation.
Yeah, let's just go Novice, I think. Agreed?
Yeah, you have to play your own gameplay, man.
Yeah, we just solely tag them.
Oh man, let's go.
We got Sword.
Yeah.
We can Simulacrum when you have mana and time.
So we have now... Yeah, we have 10 cards though, so that's the thing.
We can coin.
We can coin into Mirror Entity.
Even though they gave us a card to cycle Wrath on.
Coin the Meteor, you're right.
No, I think we Gleave, and then we just Simulacrum and use the coin just for nothing.
You like it more than, let's say, Simulacrum Coin Entity?
We could go for that too. That's fine.
I like the Simulacrum Coin Entity more.
Okay, we get on board. Sure.
It's also annoying for them, the secret. Then it's...
Yeah,
I mean, we don't want to do it. Yeah, like... Meteor is a likely play next turn. They probably go face.
So the secret is random, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter, we play Jade Spirit.
Attack with 2/2 first. To the face. See what it is, maybe.
Yeah, we attack first. Play the Jade Spirit.
Positioning though? Probably to the right.
I think it's to the right now.
Yeah. We should probably also cycle with Ross.
When we're only able to... We can silence only one Doomsday, right? Wow, our hand is real bad. Yeah, I guess you can cycle the Wrath. I like it.
I like it too.
What if they actually Simulacrum?
Oh, we do? Oh, fuck, we fucked up. We play that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like we missed damage by not cycling first.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna cycle this first.
Ah, fuck. So we missed like 2.
We have to also complete the quest. We could just Meteor, but that's the whole turn.
But then we still leave 7 damage on board. What about
how is Cold Light or Freeze here? No, then you overthrow one, right?
No, we should go Core Light next turn with Freeze. That's better, I think.
We don't overdraw if we go Cold Light Frost Nova.
Yeah.
Why
But
don't
I
you want to
think
do it here? Like, why do you care about his so much?
I want to meet here now because Collide Freeze gets better. Like,
Okay,
if
yeah.
We, if,
No.
if we,
I agree. You can go Meteor then. Yeah.
it's just that it gets better. That's the thing. Like, if we go Collide Freeze, they're just gonna play a bigger board, and we also give them more options. We can just do it next turn. We're not in a rush. They're not gonna 24 us. But I think next.
Oh, G2 Esports has pretty much got almost everything ready to win the game here. And, you know, when I was thinking about it, I sat down and I said, you know, why would you even bother queuing J-Druid into the Quest Mage? It's because it has a better matchup against the Quest Mage, I think, than the Murloc Paladin. Murloc Paladin just steamrolls J-Druid, especially if you're playing, like, Eater of Secrets in the deck.
I mean, losing the health on the Murloc War Leader definitely matters, but if you have Eater of Secrets, I mean, you're partially looking for this matchup. Right. Not entirely. I mean, you still don't want to play it, in my opinion, but
it gives you a
you're
chance.
still looking for it, yeah.
It gives you a very good chance.
But now, G2 is under some pressure, and they do need to consider the reality of what Eater of Secrets would look like. And so because of that, you heard Tice say, Frost Nova just gets better as the game goes on. And one of the reasons it gets better is because of the tech of Eater of Secrets. He didn't actively voice that, but that's definitely in the back of his head.
Eater of Secrets, by the way, is extremely powerful the first time it's ever played. And I think from week 2 onwards, every team's going to be considering Eater of Secrets when they're like making these plays. Because right now, in the very beginning, you can you can play around popular tech choices, but when people start working in Eater of Secrets, the Black Knight, Mind Control Tech, Big Game Hunter, these cards will be on people's minds as soon as they realize, oh man, this is something that people are really going to start trying to next level me.
Yeah, and if you ask me, if you really want to tech against Quest Mage, again, Dirty Rat is just a stronger card to use.
Yeah.
It will typically take up 2 slots, but pulling 2 Sorcerer's Apprentice here or pulling the Archmage Antonidas, that could quite literally cripple G2 in this spot.
Yeah.
Like, Archmage Antonidas gone, there's just no more win condition for G2.
There's also, you know, a couple of other really cheeky things, too. One time my opponent evolved into a Nerubian Unraveler, and I couldn't do anything this Quest Mage. It's just
so
like,
many things are possible.
because I don't have, like, Firelance Portal or, like, Fireballs to kill it. I just have to ping it down or something.
Yeah, let's go ahead and listen to G2. They have a lot of options, but Freeze looks like it's on deck.
Okay.
We do Reflection, but we don't have Lethal because we don't do the quest. So you should just try to do the quest, right? So just Believe.
Yeah. And we need to reserve 3 mana for freeze.
Yeah, I think so.
Wait. What if we go for... You can play First Nova anyway, right? Unless
but
we
the
get Blizzard, unless we get Blizzard from Glyph.
Yeah, the problem with Frost Nova Arcane Intellect is that you might overdraw if you don't get anything good from Glyph. So let's Glyph first.
Block out of Glyph.
Every time.
Yep. And we can play it this turn with Frost Nova.
I'm not sure if you play it.
We could just overdraw 1. Like go Nova and Intellect and overdraw 1. Is it that bad? We don't need any card from our deck.
Yeah, Kabbalah Stomp is in bad discard.
Then what do you draw with Arcane Intellect then?
No, you don't overdraw. You don't overdraw. You can always go in YOLO Arcane, like with Apprentice.
So Nova and draw, right?
I don't like it. I don't like it. I really don't like it.
Just play block.
You don't have time to attack.
Like you can always go with Apprentices, Arcane Intellect.
Okay, I get it.
But we probably play just blank next turn.
Kind of
I'd actually,
draw.
yeah, like draw, find more damage.
Yeah, so you can make the 5/5 first, or do we nourish first?
What does it change if we draw first?
Counter
5
spell.
mana.
I think you just
I think you make the 5/5 first.
yeah, just make the 5/5 to nourish.
Yeah.
Time waits for no one.
That and hero power?
Definitely hero power. I think you hold Lotus, right? Lotus.
Why do you hold it?
It's after silence.
I think he like plays better on Flame Strike, so.
So Collide, we can also Blizzard.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, but no, wait. You can also go Arcane Intellect Blizzard, but you want to go Cold Light here.
Yeah, I wanna go Collide.
Blizzard needs to get played at some point because it's the most expensive card.
We play Blizzard here. We play Blizzard every time.
Okay, so we have the full combo.
Yeah, we just need to get random cards now.
Kill your own minion, by the way.
The R2 can go face, maybe. I don't know what you do with the 2. I keep it on the board, the 2-2. No, because we might trade into Aya and then freeze or something with Blizzard if we get a Blizzard.
Okay.
How many do we have? 4. We need 2 spells. Do we have? No.
We might just go for it next turn, right? Like.
Well.
You need to draw.
We need to find the Kabbalist Stomp.
Yeah, we need Kabbalist Stomp or Glyph. No, we don't go for it next turn. We can go for it one turn later. We have one more Nova. It's fine. We go for it when we cannot freeze their board. That's when we go for it.
Right.
We actually don't want. We don't want.
I think we get poisonous, right?
No, I don't.
Wait, why did you
think so.
not
If
want?
It's so he can just hit whatever if you do that. No, I don't think we do that. I think we make the taunts.
What do we do against Fastnova then?
Nothing. Hero power him again. And then pick one of them.
So poisonous or taunt?
But Frost,
Actually,
like,
I think it's
I'm not doing much if you like.
I think it's poisonous. I think we want them to die eventually. I'm gonna take.
Yeah, go for it. Just go. Oh.
I made it.
You sure the taunts are better though. Like against Nova, it's still.
Yeah.
I don't know. Now we just let him hit us.
So we go Arcane. We go Nova Arcane Intellect.
I think so.
Nova first.
Do you ever attack the Aya?
They cannot play a single minion. Does that matter? Like that they.
Oh, maybe it matters. Yeah. Let's just let it be. No, actually, it doesn't matter. We can attack Aya anyways, right?
Yeah, sure. Go.
Nova. Intellect. Okay, we got the tome.
Okay, then just Doomsayer here, I guess, because we can. Do we want to trade the 2-2? No.
You can play one Sorcerer's Apprentice, right?
No.
No. There's no way we play Sword.
Tome is 5 mana.
Yeah. Now we win. We should win.
Just don't burn the spell, the quest.
Don't burn the quest. I've seen it happen. It's a disaster when it happens.
Well, there is this very... Is there a small possibility that G2 can't complete the quest with Cabal Stone if it's like all Pyroblasts?
Yeah. I mean, it has to be something ridiculous.
Extremely unlikely.
Yeah.
But,
Which extremely unlikely is still a bit of an understatement.
Okay. It practically impossible.
Yeah.
But it'd be a 1 out of a million games, and you guys
it's not
would
virtually impossible, but it's pretty darn tough.
Yeah, for all intents and purposes, it's almost impossible for G2 to lose.
Yeah, that's what you're in right now.
If we do see like triple Pyroblast and they can't complete the quest, you guys are in for a treat. Because also another thing too is they'd have to lose. Like right now, CompLexity is just would have to swipe and remove the Doomsayer, otherwise they'd lose the board. But let's say there's a world where CompLexity is able to pop the ice block, but then just eat your secrets and kill them.
Could Wrath their own minion and. Oh, they don't have a Wrath.
No, they don't. That's a Jade Idol. So they're just going to ignore the board and let it go away. G2 is going to go all in on this Cabal Stone.
Well, this does set up for the Eater of Secrets kill as well, but, 2 tomes. The odds of failing this are just astronomically low. Gosh, I almost hope it happens.
Just because you want to see a shooting star. And they have 2 tries. There's just no way. Cabala's Tome's going to give him something playable for sure.
Yeah.
That's
good enough.
Okay. I thought one of the secrets was unplayable for some reason, but that's just going to be it.
Yeah, Simulacrum's enough. Quest completion, open the way gate, tied series for G2. They're bringing it back, Dan.
What decks do CompLexity Gaming have after this? The Shaman was banned. They have Rogue, and they also have the Mage remaining as well. So that's going to wrap it up. G2 ties it up for Game 8. Tyler's hand meet his face as you can see the entire picture of what's been happening. This best of 11 has now reset to a best of 3.
Wow. And that is 3 failed decks in a row for CompLexity. That is just unreal.
Yeah, I think the confidence has completely dissipated here from CompLexity. Just look at how they're unsure they are of the situation. They do have a couple of decks still remaining on both sides. We have Mage remaining on both teams, and we have Rogue for CompLexity, which can go up against this Quest Mage. Although that is a matchup I haven't played much myself.
Well, I can tell you it's probably pretty similar to the Druid matchup.
You think so?
I definitely think so. You've lost Eviscerate. You still have the Cold Blood and the Shadow Steps, but you still got to worry about Doomsayer. You're still worried about Ice Barriers extending the game. You're not as worried about freezes because you have a good amount of charge damage, but missing those Eviscerates, I think, is a pretty big deal. They also just don't have the card draw. Like, they don't have insane Auctioneer turns to go off. And Rogue has just historically been fairly weak versus Mage, albeit that's largely because of the removal suite. The Quest Mage doesn't pack that same removal suite. It's much more reliant on just staying safe with secrets.
And I wonder how the Rogue matches up also against the Paladin that's also on G2 side. We don't know if it's Murloc Paladin guaranteed. There is a still small pocket of players dedicated to control Paladin, believe it or not. I actually ran into a couple of them the other day on Ladder. There's still a handful of people messing around with it. But if it is Murloc Paladin, that is a deck that Rogue did tend to prey on prior to the patch, and I imagine still the same thing considering that they haven't gotten nerfed.
Man, CompLexity just really needed some secrets that game to pull through.
How could they expect to win if they played 0 secrets as Druid?
Come on, guys.
Get a grip.
All you have to do is steal the ice block, and you're good to go. Druid has tons of ways to do that.
The Kazan Mystic from back in the day. You'd steal it and play it yourself. So there you go.
The wild tech.
Yeah. And now we're at a point where we gotta wonder what kind of mage did the CompLexity guys bring too. Did they bring Secret Mage, which tends to be very aggressive and put on the pressure? Did they play a Quest Mage themselves? And we're gonna head to a mirror, which can get very coin flippy, to say the least.
Yeah, well, we know Crane loves the created by mechanic. It's actually one of his favorite things that's in the game. He talks about it all the time. Cards like Babbling Book, Primordial Glyph.
He has talked about it.
Yeah,
you're
he
right
talks
about
them
that
all the time. If you check his Twitter, it's riddled with created by tweets,
to say the least.
Yes, but this is fairly tricky. I mean, again, Mage I think is the widest class in terms of available archetype, but Tempo Mage doesn't really strike me as like a CompLexity deck. Just the way that they play the game.
That's why it's such a big mix-up.
I know. I kind of like to see it.
Secret Mage is the highest win rate deck against the field.
Honestly,
it's very powerful against a lot of decks right now.
Something else to really think about is how well does Secret Mage perform versus Paladin remaining from G2 versus, say, the Druid or the Hunter that they already queued up. If they believe it's performing the best, I think they have more reason to hold on to that until the very end. But I'm not quite sure. I have not played a lot of Murloc Paladin versus Secret Mage matchups. Yeah.
Well, in the past, Murloc Paladin was very good against Secret Mage because things like Mirror Entity didn't do anything against them.
That looks like a Gunther Mage to me.
And yeah, it looks like a Control Mage, which can be quite the problem here.
It looked like Crane, his hand was adjusting his jersey. It looked like a hand from just like off to the side. He's like, hey, can you fix my jersey for me? It's a little off center. Like, no problem, Mr. Crane, no problem. I'll take care of that right away.
That's right, Crane's valet.
I don't know why he's like an Italian guy next to him, but
right, because Crane's Danish, if I recall correctly.
I believe so.
Yes. So that would be weird. Why he has an Italian butler.
The old Dutch defense they're going for here.
Bad choice.
They did not know that Tyson's mother was Dutch.
Oh, man. G2, so the Quest Mage against the Gunther Mage, how does that line up 1-to-1 here?
That's a great question. This is another matchup where, Gunther Mage, Control Mage, whatever you want to call this deck, it's got a lot of different variables. Yeah. It fell out of favor for quite some time. And because of that, we didn't get to see this matchup take place typically in tournaments because it fell out of favor. The timing that Quest Mage came in, Control Mage was out. And when we say Control Mage, we say that fairly loosely. The deck does have a lot of explosive potential with exactly this style of draw, where suddenly G2 is under massive amounts of pressure. And again, they don't run Frostbolt, they don't have Fireball. These Mana Worms are going to get out of hand.
Yeah, that is one way to just win the game if you can pressure their life total enough. And G2 does not have an answer to these Mana Worms, which look to get even stronger. Let's go ahead and tune in to G2.
Now you're not going to play it later. Like, this is like the only turn when you can play Barrier. If you go Glyph,
it's a net advantage, so I would say yes.
Okay.
Turn 4 will be Glyph first into most likely Novice, unless we get something good from Glyph. Then turn 5, who knows? Turn 6 has to be Blizzard.
Nah, I guess it's fine.
Yeah, I'm just gonna play my block.
Yep.
No, it's not Counterspell. I'm pretty sure it's not Tempo Mage. They would have queued it earlier if it was.
What is his mirror entity?
Glyph, right?
Yeah, I think you Glyph first here.
Fantastic.
Missiles and play it, right?
Well,
try to snipe one of them twice. It's better than Explosion.
Yeah, okay, yeah. You're right.
Yeah, you can high roll with a double one here, and you play Explosion now.
Yeah. Okay, do I ping?
I
ping, right?
So. Yeah, it's good.
It's at least 4 damage, might be even more. Right?
They are playing on like their tempo might be going slower soon, so.
Do we play around Frostnova Doomsayer? We don't, right?
You mean by not playing the valet?
Yeah.
I wonder.
Could also Fireball into Arcanologist to secret.
Fireball now?
Yeah, it makes like Nova Doom pretty bad.
Okay, but it makes his Frostbolt better?
I'm not killing any Doomsayers that he plays ever this game.
Yes, that makes sense.
So Arcanologist.
Maybe it makes his Frostbolt better?
They don't play Frostbolt though.
I would just Arcanologist Medivh, let's face.
Like, I still like just playing the minion. They have 4 cards, like what is the odds that they actually have it?
Like if they don't have Frostnova Doomsayer, it's actually...
Then we just win.
Can we draw Nova? I know it's a lot of damage.
Novice first, because Frost Nova will be great.
I hope you like my invention.
Oh.
Do we play it?
Yeah, I think you have to play it. It's too much damage, man.
Otherwise.
Yeah, you have to.
And then we just go Blizzard.
Yeah.
It's alright.
Okay, am I pinging the 1-1 or face? Probably pinging the 1-1 still.
The 1-1, because like Blizzard, right? They're setting up for Blizzard.
Yeah. Is there a reason to play Ice Barrier?
Reason not to, right? Like maybe they are scared of a counterspell.
Okay.
Yeah.
A really rare case they try to play around. They try to be cute and play around counterspell play.
Like the only reason for us to
makes
save first, yeah.
If it ever makes them play the second best play, make the second best play, it's worth it.
Ooh. Lothar said it all with that novice. Frost Nova would be a good draw.
And it was an excellent draw. Complexity's aggression has completely stopped here because of the Frost Nova and the Blizzard. When I was originally thinking, man, they could push so much damage like Fireball and the Mana Worm hitting for 5. Would have put the opponent down to 16 with Medee's Valet follow-up. But, you know, they were considering around Doomsayer and Frost Nova possibilities. And now the game has slowed down significantly with defensive cards. Their best aggressive card is Medivh, and that's coming in 2 turns.
Yeah, and if they had gone with the Fireball that turn previous, they get about the same result. You know, Crane really said it adamantly, as you can see in his body language. I am not killing any Doomsayers they play this game. The burn needs to be directed at face because they need G2's Ice Block to be popped while they're under pressure, and they hope that delays card draw or Kabbalist Tome progress enough that they can just ping with those last few points of damage and get the job done. If they had gone for Fireball that turn, they would have ended up in a very similar situation. Instead of Frost Nova, you would have seen Doomsayer, and then they would have played the minions, and then Frost Nova would have stopped it. Any way you sliced it, Complexity's pressure was going to get chopped down with the draw sequence.
G2 going to take this time to space out their threats. Doomsayer is very easily answered a lot of times if they have Firelance support with Fireball, but it's not about that. It's about gaining the life and stalling.
Ooh, Pyroblast. Wow. That's actually a really big draw right now. G2 does not have an Ice Block set up.
Here's the thing, though. It's not... Yeah, okay, that's actually a good point. I forgot that there's no Ice Block. But I was like, if they pop them at 10, that doesn't actually do anything, because they still can't follow up and kill them. But you're correct.
Yeah, G2's got to find some stuff. I mean, they still need card draw. They got to make progress still. Oh,
did you say they need card draw?
Oh my gosh, Babbling Book is insane.
It is actually kind of ridiculous.
That is a huge pickup from Babbling Book. It could not be better.
I was hoping that you would say that was a huge ad, because that's what the Babbling Book says.
I liked it earlier with the...
Can you say that for me next time? That's a huge ad.
Yeah, I will. Right. I just liked it earlier with G2. He's like, you play the book. And he's like, the Kabbalist book or the Babbling Book?
Yeah. That was great, too.
And here I think G2 is fine to even do something as crazy as just play Doomsayer if they want. You know, it delays pressure, just helps their card draw. Let's listen to CompLexity and hear what they think of the response from G2.
I'm just gonna play Medivh and hit him, right?
Yep.
A game? So kind of you to join me.
So we go book here, right?
Uh-huh.
You want to cast a spell? I want to cast a spell.
Simulacrum?
Simulacrum for sure.
What if... Wait. What if we go Cold Light first?
If we go Cold Light, they can kill us.
You can draw a minion.
Well, if we get Cold Light, we can get Ice Block and play it this turn. Doesn't really change much. If they have lethal, they will have lethal.
Yeah, we can draw a minion, and then we can never play the Simulacrum.
Yeah, you're right.
I think we should Simulacrum here.
Yeah, do we play more than... It's so weak for this turn, man. Maybe we have to YOLO a little. Like, what are we getting with Simulacrum? Maybe it is the Oracle.
But if we Oracle, we still Simulacrum, right? Or
Yeah, like first Simulacrum, I think.
You wanna Oracle?
I'm not sure, man. I'm not sure.
Let's YOLO.
We don't have draw, man. This hand cannot win it.
We don't have the quest, yeah. We need Kabbalist Stone. If we get Kabbalist Stone, we have a chance. We just need to do Kabbalist.
Okay.
We need to get Kabbalist Stone and then find the way to do the quest and find Ice Block.
How many?
Wait. We could think about... Oh, wow.
It's like, this is always the same.
No, we could have Arcane Intellected into Fireball Frostbolt.
Right. I'm gonna ping him as well.
Yeah.
Do you hit? Just so you have the 2-turn ping kill. I think so,
like
too.
if we pyro next, right, then we don't get the ping in anyways.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather see what I get from the portal.
We're gonna get...
Well, it's still one more turn if we just freeze the board.
We should meteor the board then, not freeze it. Meteor and trade.
Yeah, proc barrier maybe, but yeah.
What to do?
Proc the vaporize that they have there in their deck.
Yeah.
Need to also have stuff on board, right?
Mm-hmm. Wait, no block?
Oh,
So
wow.
they're dead. Okay. Sweet.
Nice.
Don't show the pyroblast. Don't show it. They know you have Frostbolt.
Well, CompLexity takes the game and is now on match point there. I don't know, you said you had choice words for the Pyroblast. Did they have another way to kill?
They just drew Frostbolt.
Oh, did they just drew
Yeah.
I was focusing on the Pyroblast. Well, in that case, then absolutely. I think
Hurt Tyler, too.
save the Pyroblast, but I think you can kind of put them on it when they show Medivh. You're most likely playing Firelance Portal and Pyroblast, so that way you can really get value off ATS. And that kind of puts into question, how does this deck stack up against the new Murloc Paladin, which has definitely lost its step and not nearly as explosive without Murloc Warleader in play.
And with Rogue and Mage remaining, CompLexity takes that 5-4 lead. Again, it is the first team to get 6 wins that takes the set. And on last hero standing, when you win with your deck, you get to keep it. The loser deck goes to the bin. It is no longer available for play. So G2 needs Tice to pick up back-to-back wins.
And I mean, if I'm G2, I couldn't be too upset with losing Quest Mage there, because Quest Mage already won matchups it shouldn't have won against the Hunter, most notably. So I'm feeling good about it. In the end, some unfavorables went ways towards both teams here, and I think you got to start looking at if you can close it out here, because it feels like luck's been on both sides for this series.
It definitely does. I mean, CompLexity, like you said, they won their handful of unfavorable matchups as well. But that one extra game is just such a big difference at this point. And we haven't seen the Rogue from CompLexity yet. I mean, something to note is that Mr. Yagut and Crane are two very proficient Miracle Rogue players. Is there any chance that that's a deck they're bringing?
Yeah, Tyler also, as well, loves playing Rogue too. So I think, one thing that's really funny about CompLexity was that the joke was that in order to be on CompLexity, you had to have hit #1 with Rogue in some capacity, because they also had Super JJ and a lot of other good Rogue players too, part of their academy team. So I have faith that they'll be able to use that Rogue efficiently, but will they even need it? I think this Control Mage is extremely underrated, I think, in the meta right now. People usually look at Mage as either Quest Mage or some kind of secret aggro Mage to try to set up tempo and win the game through, Mana Worms and Cabal Crystal Runners. But Control Mage is still very good. If you look at Shrifeco stream, for example, he loves defensive Mage decks, and he's still very effective, always kind of hovering around 200 to top 50 Legend, just playing straight up value with Frostlich Jaina, with a bunch of other really powerful cards in Mage, and then being able to grind people out.
That's one of his favorite things to do, is just play a big puzzle game where he has to figure out where the pieces fit in order to pick up the win. We do also want to remind everyone that the tiebreakers for Trinity Series, when it gets down to the top 4, win rate is the major tiebreaker there. So if you have players that are tied on match score, how well they close their series is a big factor. The fact that this one is going to the distance early, that's a minus notch there a little bit.
Yeah, if you want to lose, you want to lose with 5 wins. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
You want to get as close as you can. The game win percentage is going to be really important.
If you're going to win, you want the blowouts too. You have incentive to try for the 6-2, the 6-1, the 6-0 win.
Right. You push down your competition as well. So let's go into game number 10 and see if G2 can climb back. And they have a pretty decent turn 1, turn 2 combination here.
Oh, yeah.
Oh. So this was something that I first heard from Brian Kibler. Even before Stormwatcher was a very popular inclusion into a lot of Murloc Paladins. Brian told me about Grukfu Master and how it just fits a lot better on curve, especially if you want to play a Spike Rich Steed and threaten it. And Grookfa Master also gives your Corpse Taker Wind Fury.
The other thing to note is that the incentive to play Grookfu Master in his deck, the reason he actually stumbled upon it was because of Prince Kaliseth. He mentioned that when it buffed it up against Priest, they didn't have a way to answer it anymore. So he actually included Grookfu Master in his deck because Prince Kaliseth would buff Stormwatcher to 5 power and thus put it in Shadow Reaper Anduin Mage. For Grookfu Master, it just buffs it right up to 4, so it sits under the Shadow Reaper Anduin Mage. It was a very minor difference for him, but for him the tiebreaker was the fact that it was 5 mana versus 8 mana, and frankly I totally agree.
7 mana.
I'm sorry, 7 mana, yeah. But frankly I totally agree. The Paladin slot at 7 is already fairly stacked. A lot of times Spike Steed's good enough.
Really interesting.
And obviously Bone Mare is pretty much an auto-inclusion in most Paladin decks.
So funny how such a subtle difference is giving G2 all the headaches in the world. Do they lead off with Vilephin or the Tidecaller? Tidecaller is better power, but if your opponent plays any 2-mana minion like Arcanologist or the Valet, it challenges the Tidecaller. You don't have a good kill, and you have to coin to protect it, which doesn't feel very good.
It's also just in the face of 2 hero powers.
Yeah.
You know, Murloc Tidecaller now only has Rockpool to protect it. It no longer gets the benefit from Murloc Warleader. So
it's true.
That's a really big incentive to play the Vilephin first. Something that I think was an unintentional hit to this deck when you really think about it. The losing the buff from Warleader meant that sometimes you play the weaker minion. Saves you damage.
Well, it seems like G2 has their 5 to 7 laid out, and even a turn 3, so they need to find some way to shape up their turn 4. CompLexity pretty much has a straightforward game plan of stalling out and drawing until they're able to control the state of the board. Hopefully use things like Frost Nova Doomsayer very effectively. They also can go for the 2-turn victory with Alex Straza and follow-up burn damage.
Yeah, with the new Hydrologist picked up, let's hear how G2 likes their game.
Redemption. Repentance.
Repentance is good against Doomsayer.
Nah, I don't think they have Doomsayer.
Maybe Redemption, so we always have a Steed target, or is it not even needed? They might go like Valet, Hero Power now.
Well, this turn it doesn't matter because we aim it to use it next turn. So if you use Hero Power and Redemption next turn, they will have 5 mana to use Ping on 1/1 to check for Redemption. Then they will be left with 3 mana. And that's not really a lot of options when they played already a secret. So it's a waste, most likely.
Move quickly.
Yeah, I only worry that the only thing that worries me is our wall board being gone before we can Steed, but
I think Redemption is better than Repentance.
I really don't know.
Take the Redemption.
Yeah, Redemption.
Repentance is only good if you keep the weapon, and you might want to use the weapon if they play anything on 4. So I'm worried.
Yeah, just kill the 2/2s.
Yeah.
Excuse me, you are on fire.
And next turn probably Acolyte into Ping.
I feel like if you have the time to ping your Acolyte, you get an extra card from that one. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
Kill it, Hero Power Redemption.
I think we do Redemption here.
Not
Because
sure.
of on turn 5, want to play Grookfu Master. If he doesn't die, then it's a perfect target for Spike Ridge Steed.
But
I think we play it. We have the curve to play. We shall play.
We have to curve it out, yes.
Sure played. It's bad, but sure played.
I mean, we might even need a minion at turn 6. We might not even have a minion at 6. So, or if we want to Steed.
Yeah, you're correct. You should play it here.
Crazy Alchemist, of course, a necessary tech card for Paladin. They fight so poorly versus turn 2 Doomsayer, they have to have something in the deck that benefits. You also have the benefit of flipping around a Spike Ridge Steed and hitting your opponent for a lot.
Or perhaps a Wind Fury minion.
Like Grookfu Master with a Spike Ridge Steed. A Grookfu Master riding a Spike Ridge Steed Kodo, that's like the Dothraki charged in, man. I don't want to face that.
There's another problem, too. Now that they've set up Redemption, they have to find a way to get rid of like the 1/1 token Murloc ideally, but in order to do that, you have to trade to the Acolyte, which gives him an extra draw. So do you want to use the Crazy Alchemist here? Doesn't really set up a really good Spike Ridge T target compared to Grukfu Master this turn. So there's a lot of complications that get introduced because of this Acolyte ping, and it puts so much pressure on the G2.
Yeah, I like the Grukfu just because it's the most power on board. I do like trading in the 1/1, and if you're going to trade in the 1/1, you should trade with the 1/3 as well.
Oh man, but how much does that hurt?
A lot. I mean, that's one of the reasons why Paladin is not favored in this matchup, and that's part of what this Control Mage was meant to do, was actually fight this matchup. You just wanted ways to pick apart their board. You know, the secret on turn 3 that you fetch from Arcanologist sometimes, then having Medivh's Valet and Frostbolt, you could just destroy their early synergy. And we're seeing that come into effect here. Now, the Paladin deck's evolved quite a bit since then, but CompLexity still looks like they have a fairly firm control on this game.
CompLexity has first acknowledged the secret as well. Have they tested for anything besides Repentance?
I don't think
they even know if it's eye for an eye or not. And I think that would not be an eye for an eye if they played this early. So they can narrow it down to Noble Sacrifice, Redemption, and Getaway Kodo.
Yeah, the only way this would ever be eye for an eye is if your opponent just had like the sickest curve moving all the way up through, and you felt that you could pressure them enough that they couldn't check it at any time. But it smells like a Redemption or a Noble Sacrifice to me.
Or Getaway Kodo.
Yeah. Getaway Kodo, of course, the weakest one when you play Grukfu Master, but it is what it is.
Well, this is kind of a complicated turn here. Let's go ahead and start tuning in the G2 and see if they can flip this around.
Steed here.
Steed the Murloc and kill the Acolyte, yeah. Then they will have to portal, right?
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's fine. If they Blizzard, whatever, we just still bone there. But you cannot steal the Grukfu, right?
No.
Then they'll still Blizzard.
Probably Cliff first.
Yeah,
it's just first Nova Doomsday.
Mm-hmm. That's a close one.
I'm looking at Portal, but
we assume this Doomsday goes off.
What to do?
I think we want a portal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm looking at the counter still, but I think it's portal. Okay.
It's kind of a funny Nova on such a weak board.
Like, there's no way they run Kodo. They would have to have Spellbreaker or Crazed Alchemist right now.
Yeah.
In the middle.
For Meteor makes a difference, so yes.
Just play the stealth.
Play
near
both in the minion, right? Like, so that the 3/7 is on the side, because that's the Steed target. Yeah, I do it like this.
You love my
Easy. Okay.
Do we just Medivh? They can't do that much damage.
Blizzard. Like, it gets rid of a lot of damage with the Blizzard here.
What to do?
Yeah.
I think we
if it's
this time.
If it's Redemption, which one do they get back?
It's fine. I want a Blizzard, yeah.
Yeah, okay, I agree.
Is good for Grukin.
Ping or Medivh? Probably Ping.
I like the ping.
Yeah.
Because we can have, like, violence.
We don't trade Enzo, right?
No. Right? No, we don't want to give him a 2/6.
Boy, this is a tough game.
Man, this is really back and forth. I thought CompLexity kind of had this in the bag, but G2's putting quite the pressure on, forcing multiple pivots from CompLexity. Just like, instead of like setting up a Medivh and obviously go through these crazy Blizzard Violence Portal swings, recognizing the Grookfu Master is a real threat. And that's a sentence I didn't think I'd be saying when I saw that card.
He's good for
released
Grooking.
last year. He's good for Grooking. What does that even mean?
Have you seen the Grookfu Master?
I'm gonna look up right now what Grooking is.
That's their. It's the equivalent of Kung Fu for the Grook. It's Grook Fu.
It doesn't even. It's not even a word.
Yeah, it's the tribe.
I'm looking up an Urban Dictionary. Says I went Grooking in Barnes and Noble, but then got kicked out. And it says #verb.
I don't want to know what Grooking is then. If it'll get you kicked out of a Barnes & Noble, I don't want to know what it is because I've never even seen an employee in that store. What do you have to do to get kicked out of a Barnes & Noble? That's just an atrocity.
CompLexity Gaming stuck at this very big board here, and they used up their freezes. So originally they were looking at maybe some big swings they could get with Firelands Portal being reduced.
I liked the Firelands Portal take, personally, on the first one.
Another Firelands Portal. Wow.
This is just a pure game of attrition for them. And the big question mark is going to be, can they get past
this Finja.
The Finja? I mean, the Finja is really the last remaining push for G2, but they still have some fire draws.
This could be a big swing. Let's go ahead and tune in and see what these things. Oh my goodness.
Man, that 7-1, it's painful.
Finja into Buzzards?
Mm-hmm.
Buzzards, right?
Mm-hmm.
I guess Hydralist. See if we get what we get. If we miss or hit on the iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
No Ivor and I. Getaway Kodo.
Well, the Getaway Kodo is most likely the best card here.
Yeah,
So
go for
do
the
you-
Kodo. Yeah, you play War Leader now that you have Kodo.
And do we trade?
Yeah, you definitely trade, right? I think you trade the 7-1.
Ah, man.
And do we want to play the War Leader or not here?
Wait, do we trade the 7-1? Yeah, we trade the 7-1.
Do we play more?
I would play the War Leader.
We might want to fireball Firelands.
Mm-hmm.
Let's think about this.
What to do? What to do?
Like, it's probably going to be Redemption, right?
Yeah.
We should ping Firelands, Barrier, and Value Trade. Leave up the War Leader. We have to do. Because of Kodo, for example, or even Redemption, right? With the ping.
Yeah, so you want to hit in first? Or, oh, yeah,
Not
okay,
really.
ping. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, ping that one.
And I want to portal the Finja and Value Trade the 2-4-2, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, this is fine.
Now we have to ignore the 5-5, just go aggressive.
You can also kill it with face plus rock pull, but I don't think it's good.
Nah, I think we go full face here, right?
Yeah, full face. Including with 2 silver, I think.
Yeah. Still have one more weapon in the deck, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do we?
We need Megazord
Yes.
now.
Yeah, Megasaur.
Tagging.
The fireball is nutty here. It's super nutty, the fireball.
Yeah. Takes a lot of damage off the board.
Take a lot of damage on the board.
Ooh, that's even better.
Yeah, that's really good for us. Oh. Interesting.
We could kill a 2-3 now.
Definitely kill the 1-1.
Yeah. I think we go for the grindy game, right?
Like, we
What
should
about
try to
smoking
clear
him?
his board.
If we smoke him for 6, he has to trade something into Lyra anyways.
Like 2 small guys.
I kind of like trading because of Mega Sword top deck and Sunkeeper Terran.
Yeah, like, because most likely we want to develop Medivh next turn.
So Lyra into the 1-1 and 5-up into the 2-3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like this.
Wow. This series of draws from G2 is so less than stellar. They have a lot of those. They have a lot of top end.
And
Very
vice
little
versa.
in between.
Very vice versa. CompLexity Gaming, you said that was their 4th Firelance portal?
I believe it's the
No, that's the 3rd.
third Firelance portal.
It's the 3rd
Even
Firelance
still,
portal,
like-
but it's insane. And their Mana Worm was able to get to a 7 attack minion. Their Blizzard was able to catch so much damage and stop 20 from coming in. I mean, this game has been just the denial of Paladin. And CompLexity can now start to play their Medivh the
my.
Guardian. Their patience has paid off.
The Blizzard
huge
pickup
dividends.
is so big here.
Honestly, it doesn't have to be Blizzard. It could just be like Pyroblast. Alex Straza. How did they? I mean, G2 can't even deal with the 7/7.
Yeah, right, it's the fact that they shut off the Assault next turn, so even if G2 picks up like Tyrion here, it's a big deal. Now, Sunkeeper Tarim is also a big deal here. That allows them to kill this Medivh and keep pushing. And they still have a lot of life to work with here. I actually think that Tarim might have given them enough to still fight this game. They will still need to draw, I think, a Bone Mare, a Spike Ridge Steed, a Tyrion, something like that. 4th Firelance portal, but it can't come down just yet.
Yeah, Blizzard has to come down this turn, see what happens. I mean, there's also a handful. We've seen Doppelgangster Evolve. There's a handful of 6-mana minions that just don't do anything. Talking about big-time Racketeer, Corrupted Seer. On the other hand, you can get some really big impacts.
Fireball first.
Oh, wow. This is really good sequencing in case they get into Ruby and Unraveler.
Yep.
That was a really corner case, like 1% play, but they're going to make it.
Ooh.
Let's listen into G2.
Or Megazord. Might consider face tanking the Sunwalker, but let's see what
Just
we
3
do.
health or the 1-1s?
Ooh.
That's a difficult. I think Death Rattle minions.
I think health. The one-ones don't do anything without tagging.
I wonder.
I think health and we face tank the Sunwalker. If you get 1-1s,
Yeah, they're also 3 attack, right? So that's nice about it.
yeah.
I think it's health. I think it's health. I want to pick health.
Move quickly.
Do we face tank? I think we do. Otherwise he gives,
one
he
dies.
gives the 5-4.
Sure. Yeah.
Let's just hope they have like Alex in the hand, yeah.
Okay, now we have lethal 2 turns. So, is there anything that heals them?
Yeah, heal
Hydrologist.
bot. There's
So the heal
bot,
bot is on a 7, right? Is there something on a 4 that heals them?
No.
We Firelance
Wait, we
portal
just hit- we just-
Lesser?
Huh?
Or
We don't
do we?
Violence portal. We don't want to get the... Oh, we can hit his face first, right? And then violence. That way there's nothing. Or do we just fireball? We just fireball, right? His face.
Yeah, we just fight. We can't even lose to eye for an eye. He doesn't have enough, right? It's 10. Wait, we do lose to eye for an eye.
Hydrologist.
Time runs out on me.
Just get his face.
Oh.
Oh,
Come on.
no Nova.
Alright, that's not bad.
Yeah, I mean,
that taunt, man.
yeah, we cannot proc them. I mean, I couldn't proc them anyways. Yeah, just do 5-4 into 4-5, 3-4s, and face.
He used on Chooser.
Yeah, doesn't even get more damage in anyways, right?
Okay, got him. Oh man.
Okay, nice boys.
Yeah. Okay, we won. That's the important part.
That wraps it up. CompLexity takes the first match of Season 2 here at Trinity Series by a score of 6-4 over G2, and it was hard fought. And let me tell you, man, this series had all the drama that you can imagine. There was a lot of unfavorables going both ways, a lot of crazy plays and deviation from lines. But ultimately, it starts off the way it ended in Season 1 with CompLexity victory.
That's right. And something I really want to point out here is just the level of play that went into this particular series. We saw so many back and forth decisions and so many super close calls, but when you really broke them down, the things that looked super close ended up not being as close as they initially appeared. And that's really a part of what makes these teams so strong and so good, is that not one time did we really see them making plays that we heavily considered worse. Some mechanical things here and there that could be stepped
damage,
up. A lot of that comes
power.
in with just the time you're taking to discuss things with your teammates, though. You're under that time pressure. You have to work a little bit faster. Outside of that, I loved the way the series was played.
That's right. It was a lot of fun stuff, but a lot of room for improvement as well. And not just in the plays, you know, where we argue about these hero powers here or maximizing the damage there, but also the deck building. You know, one thing that I think this series has displayed to me was the threat of certain decks and also the sequencing of decks. You know, Control Mage performed really well in the context of what was remaining in the field. So, you know, maybe Control Mage can actually make an appearance, and maybe that forces people to be more greedy, or perhaps that makes people set up better anti-mage tech in future weeks.
You know, glyphing into a couple of portals helps as well.
Yeah, 4 Firelands portals? Are you kidding me?
Firelands portal.
It was insane value that was generated, and I mean, to be quite frank, that was very fortunate and put them in a position to win, because otherwise they would have to rely on Medivh much earlier in order to generate that value. But Firelands Portal was able to do both, remove and develop.
And you know, I just talked about the mechanical play, like in certain spots could have been really ticked up, but we saw CompLexity play around them dropping their own Nerubian Spellweaver, or whatever that card's called.
Nerubian Unraveler.
Nerubian Unraveler. That increases the cost of spells. That would have prevented them from playing Fireball. They didn't use Firelands Portal on the turn before because they could drop Corrupted Healbot and potentially heal G2 from that Death Rattle. You and I actually experienced that
firsthand,
like a week ago.
Yeah, we were playing.
We're like, why wouldn't you Firelands Portal first? And
we're
then,
like, oh, that's why.
We're like, one of those things. But the mechanical play was still very strong in spots where there was a puzzle to solve, rather than just simple, you know, maximizing the order that you did it in.
That's right. And a couple of decks that we expect to perform well. You know, Jade Druid came in here as one of the decks that's either going to be banned or going to be very powerful. Jade Druid didn't even get a single win so far. I mean, there's a lot to be considered. And, of course, because the meta in tournaments are already very different from the ladder meta because of the power and how strong certain decks are. But in a format like this where it's 9 class and you get to ban twice and self-ban one, it changes a lot. I don't expect Warrior to always be excluded out of the meta right now, but I think you give a couple weeks and we'll see it rotate back in. And how does that play as a dynamic with a bunch of other classes?
It's another part of the beauty of the Trinity series is that there's a metagame going on because it's 9 classes, but then there's also the metagame within the metagame. How do the choices the players are making affect what the other teams are going to do?
That's right. So that's going to wrap up our first series of the day. We have another match and another best of 11 coming up here. So don't go anywhere, guys.